Dave's getting there. The layer's lost. All right, we'll get started. I think we've got everybody back with us. Everybody here. See Patty and Isaiah. Looks like he's in the high chair up there. Kelly, Mark, Willie, me and Willie sitting right here. There's Travis. He's back. Okay. So that will get us to, looks like we got Mr. Cody, First Tennessee Human Resource Agency. I think he's here with us. Hello, Jason. And you may be on mute because I can't hear you. I see you talking, but I can't hear anything.
Okay, thank you guys. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you guys. Thank you all for having me tonight, and thank you all for your support over the years. You all have been a great partner. As you all know, our agency was founded in 1974. We're an umbrella agency that does a lot of different social services, a lot of elderly services specifically. I know Kathy Dula with the Senior Center was talking earlier. Probably our two most visible programs are the Meals on Wheels program and our Rural Public Transportation program, or NatTrans. We actually have a garage in Elizabethan, just kind of across the road from Sycamore Shoals. We're not asking for a funding increase this year. It's the same as prior years. What we do with that money is we have several different state and federal grants. So for every dollar that we get in local match, we use it to leverage against basically about $9 in state and federal funds so that we can deliver these services to the community. So that's the bang for your buck. With all these grants anymore, it's less and less of in kind, and it's more actual hard dollars is how they view that local support. So we're asking for your consideration to keep that support level as you always have. And let me just give you a couple of statistics, you know, kind of your return on investment. Last year, we did right at 32,000 meals through our Meals on Wheels program. We did 25,000 trips through our transportation division at 452,000 miles that we covered. We actually delivered services to a little bit more than 1,300 Carter County residents, and that was a service value of a little bit more than $1.5 million. Direct economic impact as well. We have 40 employees that are Carter County residents, and the payroll for those specific 40 employees is $859,000. So that's money that basically gets reinvested in the community and gets multiplied from an economic sense, because the money you give us goes and in turn supports the community as well. During the coronavirus and the COVID-19, we've continued to operate because, frankly, people need us. We're essential services, as you can imagine, like Meals on Wheels. We're probably the only people that can get those meals to some of those people. And so the thing that we have modified, and Kathy was hitting upon it, is on the home delivered. We are actually knocking on the door and placing it. We're not going in the homes any longer. We have at the beginning went ahead and sent out what's called shelf stable meal packs. Basically, it's a 2-week supply, and we've consistently replenished those to make sure they do have 2 weeks on hand at any given time. But we continue to operate our kitchen to do the hot meals out daily. So that's kind of a brief update. We continue to run our other programs as well, just basically interjecting the new normal of, personal protective equipment and things like that you've kind of heard throughout the presentations today. So again, I thank you for your support, and if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Questions for Mr. Cody? Well, once again, we appreciate you being here for us. I know you always represent the agency well. I know you guys are working hard. Appreciate that essential service. You're really reaching out and keeping people fed and sending people to work as well, I'm sure, with the net trans running a little bit too. So, and that's a great number, the 40 employees of Carter County. We like to see that, and glad that you're providing for those folks. So.
We're always here. Our business is to serve and help people. So if there's anything I can do, guys, I know the mayor's got my information. Please feel free to contact me, because that's what we're here for.
All right. We thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. You all have a good night.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay.
Hey, Patty, I got a note there about being muted or something like that. Are you okay? Or we? You're talking. I can see you moving your lips there. How about
okay, now? Can you hear me?
Yep.
I think Abby had me muted. Okay, I'm good now.
That may be a good thing.
Hey, who said that?
I missed that. Okay, we got the Retired Senior Volunteer Program is coming up. Elizabethan Carter County Library to follow, and Mike Main's City Park and Rec after that. So right now, RSVP services, please. Heather, is that you? Okay, I believe you're muted. I can't hear anything coming on our end. I don't know if that's on your. That looks better.
You hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. My name is Heather Smith, and I am with the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. I am new to the allocation meeting, so bear with me. I hope I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. RSVP deals with volunteers that are 55 and older, and I work with 60 stations in 8 counties. I have 6 stations in Carter County that I partner with and work with. Those 6 stations is, of course, the Assistance Resource Ministry, Carter County Neighborhood Service Center, the Elizabethan Homebound Meal Delivery, Elizabethan Senior Center, Hampton Meal Delivery, and Watauga Homebound Meals. I also do partner with FTHRA and help recruit Meals on Wheel volunteers for them. Our volunteers for Carter County served 3,745 hours last year, and they served 864 households with food, with 1,504 individuals being served. Is there any questions?
Questions
I think
for Mrs. Smith?
The 2,000, yes.
I think no questions there. Go ahead.
Is there anything else? I mean,
I think
I'm new.
that's pretty $2,000 request. I see that.
I hope I give all you the information I needed to give.
Yeah, we've got a good packet right here with all the financial information and some of your services there. So we appreciate what you do for the county as well, and reaching out to the retired volunteer program, senior program.
Senior is my passion, and I've been calling a lot of seniors since we've been working from home and just talking to them, giving them somebody to talk to.
Yeah, that's good and very important at, this time, to have just somebody to talk to if you are, shut in or haven't had much interaction. That can go a long way. So we thank you for that service and helping those people out. So continue the good work. We'll consider this budget request and certainly help you out the best way we can.
Yes, thank you for your consideration. And I just want to say that, all the agencies that are here that I see on this list, I've worked with most of them, and they're just great agencies. And I just thank you for your consideration for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we thank you all for working together and helping out, touching many, many lives throughout this county and this region. So y'all should all be commended for the work you do.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Have a good night.
Okay. RSVP check. All right. The library is coming up, City Parks and Rec, and the Boys and Girls Club to follow.
Is it all right if I share my screen with you all?
Yeah, I think if you can make that happen, that'd be okay.
I can make it happen.
You might be a little better person than some of us, it looks like, on the Zoom meetings here. So.
It's how I got my graduate degree, was through Zoom, so it's old.
Oh, okay, well, great.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd bring you on in, but now Abby's doing a good job, so we can't take anything away from her.
Great, yeah. Well, thank you all for speaking with me this evening. My name is Bernie, and I'm the library director at the Elizabethan Carter County Public Library. Tonight, I'm going to be giving you a very brief overview of who we are and why I am requesting a budget increase from the county for the fiscal year 2020-2021. When most people think of libraries, their first thought is what we are traditionally known for, which is books. While we certainly have lots of physical books, we also have audiobooks, DVDs, and e-materials, with a total circulation of 127,377 items last year. The libraries are so much more than just books. Libraries are information hubs offering free access to a wide variety of resources, from pamphlets on local resources to classes on the census and Medicaid, from a resource center for job searching and FAFSA filing to study guides and homework help. In the 21st century, libraries are even more than just places to find information. Libraries are community hubs connecting people to people through various and wide-ranging programs, utilizing not only library resources, but the many partnerships that the library staff has forged within our community. Before I get into the current budget request, I do want to mention a few general things. I know these are graphics and numbers that you see every year, but I think it is important to bring them up again, especially since the county has been increasing their contribution to the library for the past few years. As of the end of April, the library has 25,902 registered users, 13,756 of whom are county residents and 9,628 of whom are city residents. As of this current fiscal year, the county maintenance effort was 12.4% of the library's total budget. With the proposed budget that I have for you all this year, the county's contributions would increase to 16.6%. Our budget request that was submitted back in January is for $95,212. Of that request, $65,600 is the library's maintenance effort amount from the county. Of that amount, $55,600 will be used to continue offering a wide range of diverse programs to an expanded demographic of our patrons. The library has a well-established children's program, offering a total of 262 programs with an attendance total of 11,482 last year. We have just recently hired a new teen librarian who has been creating programs for our currently underserved tweens and teens in the library. Our teen librarian is hoping to increase program numbers and attendance from last year's 126 programs and 1,177 attendees. We're also working on expanding the types of programs we offer for older adults. Last year, we offered 152 programs with 3,747 in attendance. Many of these programs were able to happen thanks to our community partners who provided both the supplies or the expertise for our patrons. And the programs. Having a diverse range of programs is vital to the library because it helps engage the community and it helps to inspire lifelong learning. In order to simply not maintain, but to expand the library's programs, more of our budget will be needed to purchase materials and supplies for these programs. The remaining maintenance effort amount of $10,000 will go towards the purchase of books and materials for the library with an emphasis on ebooks. With the recent embargo on ebooks by one of the top 5 publishing houses and stricting lending models on those electronic books, the cost of digital books has risen. Currently, the library only owns the rights to 565 digital items, including ebooks, e-audiobooks, and streaming videos. While the state of Tennessee does supply the majority of our collection, which totals 278,499 items, the library is doing a disservice to our patrons by not spending more of our book budget on ebooks. For example, of our 371 unique Reads users, the average wait time for our ebooks is currently 51 days. If a greater percentage of our book buying budget is spent on the purchase of the most requested ebooks, we'll be able to reduce the average wait time and offer better services to our patrons. The remainder of the library's budget request is an increase in the amount of $29,612. This increase would cover the salaries of 2 additional part-time employees. The Tennessee State Library and Archives sets service standards that it expects each library across the state to meet. There are 5 levels determined by the size of the service population. Serving a population of over 56,000, the Elizabethan Carter County Public Library is considered a level 5 library. In order to meet the service standard of 60 operational hours a week, the library needs to be open a minimum of 4 more hours a week. As things stand right now, to meet the standard without decreasing other valuable services to our patrons, such as programming, the library needs more staff. The amount of $29,612 will allow the library to hire 2 new part-time employees at 24 hours a week each. In addition to meeting the standard for operational hours, hiring 2 additional employees will allow the library to begin to meet other standards in regards to technology, community relations, and other services such as literacy programming and expanding programs for teens and adults and seniors. Thank you so much for your time and consideration this evening. Please let me know if you have any questions.
All right, Barney, thank you. We got any questions for Mrs. Weiss there from the committee? I know Travis, you still sit on the board. Is that right, Travis?
Yes.
Right. And welcome to these budget hearings. You've had a big personality before you that
Yes.
Renita that came, and she did a great job, and I anticipate that you'll do just as good. But she was certainly colorful and made these requests pretty interesting. So it was always fun to hear from them, and we appreciate the service you provide for our citizens.
Thank you.
And happy to have you on board. And we'll do the best we can as far as I know the salary increase, and it sounds like it is kind of required for you guys to operate at a certain level. Is there any, I mean, if that's not met with those salaries or those employees, does that, what will that do to you guys? Any effect, I mean, directly, or what can they do?
Right now, the state doesn't, they're just standards. They don't, I say, punish us, I guess, for not meeting those. But we don't know if that's ever going to change, because like with the maintenance of effort, if that is not met every year, they start cutting our funding and expecting services back. Thankfully, right now, the service standards themselves are just recommendations. So if we're not able to reach that this year, there's always next year or the next couple of years to hope to reach that.
Yeah,
Bernie?
I understand that. Of course, you know, when kind of, I hate to say desperate times, but different times anyway. And as far as, you know, just increases may be hard to do. We don't know for sure, but we'll certainly do the best we can to
I appreciate
fill
that.
those needs. And we know that you provide a great service for men, women, children, and all types, and a lot of programs too that you do offer for, I mean, all around. So we appreciate that. Keep up the good work there at the library.
Thank you.
Bernie,
Yes.
I think you've got an extra $9,600. I think we give you $75,000 last year, so you should have extra $9,600.
Oh, I'll have to go back and look at the numbers. I will admit I don't have the maintenance of effort right in front of me. I believe that was the number that the 65.6, I think, is what our interim director submitted to the state. So I'll have to get with someone and check on that.
And also, I don't know if you submit, why are we not funding the Imagination Library this year? Do you know, is that something you?
I don't really have anything to do with that. Our children's librarian is the person on staff who does that. I know someone reached out to me about that. in January. And I believe their treasurer was supposed to get all that information, and I can find out for you and get back to you though.
Okay, I know. I feel like we've funded that every year, so it's kind of a shock one.
Yeah, I noticed that. That is, yeah. I'll reach out and see what I can find out for you, Jack.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for, is it Miss Weiss? Is that right, or?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, good. Further questions? Okay, Kelly, let's see. You need to speak now, Kelly? Okay. Abby, are you in there? I think Kelly may be muted at this time. Looks like Isaiah is as well, possibly.
Thank you. How many employees do you have total? Is she already gone?
Bernie, are you there?
There
Yeah, she's with us.
she's muted.
Okay. Bernie, I think you're muted if you want that. It looks like.
There we go. I got it. Thank you, Abby. We have 10 employees plus myself, so 11 total, 4 part-timers and the rest are full-time.
Okay, and I think Pat Hicks is over the Imagination Library.
He's on their board, yes. I think he might be their president.
He's usually the one that comes before us to ask for money.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why he's not here this evening. I know their treasurer is usually the one who submits the budget request. I know I think they've had a little bit of difficulty with that though, but I'll find out for you all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As somebody that frequents the library often, this is Aaron Frazier from the 7th District. My kids love it down there. You guys do a great job, even though my kids make way too much noise. I'm sorry.
Libraries aren't necessarily quiet places anymore, so we definitely don't mind.
All right, any other questions? Okay, well, we thank you for your time and sticking around with us this long. I will say this, as far as how these I guess each department or request is on this list, it doesn't go by any preference or anything like that. It's by the line item that it is. It's just a numerical number. So certainly not any preference, but we do appreciate your patience, and everyone is still with us now. So thank you, Bernie. Happy to have you.
Have a great evening.
All right, you too. Okay, that brings us to City Parks and Rec. Got the Boys Club to follow, and I don't know if we'll hear from Imagination Library or not, but right now, City Park and Rec.
Thanks, Ross. And I just want to thank the committee. Y'all are doing a great job tonight handling this. Abby, I don't know if it's you working all the buttons back there, but first of all, I want to let each of you know we appreciate the hard work and the leadership you provide. This is a difficult time. I know the last couple of months that we've had in our department's been extremely challenging for us. And you know, as we move forward, hopefully things will get better, of course, and that's what we're praying for. Just want to cover a few things with you tonight about you know, our department, give you an update of a few things that are happening. Let me first of all say we're not asking for any increase whatsoever. The allocation that you gave us last year, we just truly appreciate that, and we appreciate your support again. When you look at our department right now, we're looking at focusing, I've mentioned this before, of more of our natural resources, what we can do to tap into those, create recreational facilities that will also impact our citizens, and then also hopefully provide some economic benefits to Elizabeth and Carter County. That's what's the most important thing. So the 3 of the projects we have that we've been looking at, studying, and develop phases for, it's first and foremost is the Cover Ridge Park, making some improvements there that would be very beneficial, again, to the citizens of Elizabeth and also in Carter County too. The next one is you've heard a lot of talk about Surf Betsy, which is the development of a whitewater park either along the Doe River or along the Watauga River. A lot of work has gone into this. We just got some information not too long ago from the ETSU College of Business about trying to develop a business plan for that project. And it's something that our city council is really interested in looking at. And so we're moving forward researching that particular project, and hopefully we can pull this off, and it'd be a great thing for all of us. The last thing is the Hampton Watershed Bike and Hiking Trails. And we want to thank the Carter County Park and Recreation Board, King Gooch, and his group have been working with us, along with the volunteers in our community that have enjoyed the biking, of course. And so and Sorba also, the Tri-Cities, has been working with us. So that particular project, we're looking at trail expansion in the Hampton area from 3.5 miles all the way up to 12 miles. So those are 3 real good projects that we're looking at doing. Of course, we have our challenges ahead of us with funding, but hopefully we can make some headway here soon and get those moving along quickly. Other than that, our department, we have made a lot of strides over the last couple years with the events we plan for our community, special events and programming. And that's something we're very proud of. And many of you may know this, or you may not, but our department, we're given the opportunity to run Cover Bridge Days. And I think we met honestly every single day for about a 2 or 3 month period, discussing and putting together that event. It was going to be an event that would begin on Tuesday, run through Saturday night. It was something we were looking forward to, had everything in place. And of course, like other events in our areas, such as the Blue Plum in Fun Fest in Kingsport, we had to postpone that, and we're trying to look to do something possibly in August. So that's what we're hoping to do. The current project we have ongoing right now is the building of a restroom facility at Riverside Park. It's almost completed, but then we have some other things to go along with a couple of capital projects in our community. But right now we are just, with the way things are, we're not going to move forward. We're going to wait and see how our local economy has been impacted, and of course it has been, and hopefully we can address those down the road. But I appreciate, again, looking at what we do, the funding that we receive from y'all. It's just very beneficial for us, and I hope you can tell and see the results that we're producing on a yearly basis of providing the need to our citizens for recreational opportunities. So thanks again, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have this time.
Questions for Mr. Maines? Kelly, I think Kelly's muted again. We'll get you online right here in a second. Sorry for that. What? Go ahead.
What I wanted to say, yeah, thanks. What I wanted to say, Mike, was the restrooms down at the Riverside Park are really nice. In fact, that whole park down there is turning out to be a really nice park. I hate that it's hid, but in a way that's kind of good. But the little trail that walks all the way to Lowe's.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
That is very nice and very well kept. So I really appreciate that from the city to take care of that. Really looks nice down there. And I know the river sometimes has some water issues coming up, but it's really kept nice.
Thank you, Ms. Collins, and thank you for mentioning that. Our staff have put a lot of hard work into the project, and those of you that haven't seen Riverside Park, do go down and take a look at it. One of the projects that we had to put on hold was actually addressing the horseshoe court, and then also we were going to create a horseshoe court and a basketball court at that location with additional parking. But with everything that's happening, it's on hold, of course. And I do want to say something, also is the fact that our staff is, every day we go to work is a very difficult time for us, and because we want to be doing what we are, what our mission is, which is to provide recreation opportunities for our community. And it's just a tough time. And our Franklin pool, we wanted to open it, but there is a whole lot that goes into operating the pool that many people really don't understand. And so I think that's why you see the closures of Legion Street in Johnson City and Bristol and Greenville. I could go on and on across the state, but weekly we are meeting with TRPA, which is Tennessee Recreational Parks Association's professionals. 90 plus of us will get together and discuss how we're going to get the reopening of our park facilities. And so we're looking forward to that day, and honestly can't wait. But you know, some of the projects we have down the road that I've mentioned, the capital projects, we hope we can do, and it's something that I think will be greatly beneficial to the community. But again, your $25,000 you give to us goes a long way, and we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mike. I know I've worked on a couple of projects with you along the Tweetsie Trail. You guys do a great job of promoting that. Like Kelly said, I mean, some of these things may not, people aren't aware of sometimes, and, you know, it can be a good thing if they don't get too much exposure, but certainly we need to promote those the best we can. And I know you've got a good staff on hand, David and Kelly, and your group down there to really promote what's going on. And we appreciate the job you do. Do you know about, like, as far as baseball leagues or anything, do you see those opening up this year? Or?
The youth baseball and softball, we're looking at sometime the league itself. We are a part, we basically maintain the fields for these leagues. So the board of directors, we're looking at maybe doing a registration in June or July for a short season to follow. So you're looking, it gets you on into August, of course. And when you get into August, everything changes. It's like the pool, for example. You know, our lifeguards go back to school. And so you push things back and it affects other things, but that's a great question. We hope that the league can happen in some form or fashion. The same thing with special events, our cover bridge jams on Saturday nights. We hope we can get those rolling again sometime soon. But, you know, the CDC, we have to follow guidelines that they have. And we're a governmental agency. We're not a private business. And so things are a little bit different. We have to be very cautious of things. So we will see. Minor league baseball is everything that you've heard, is everything pretty much that I've heard. And I don't know if that's going to happen this summer or not.
That was going to be the next question I did have. But that, I mean, the more you talk about this, all the programs that you do offer, the recreation that is available, we could give you $150,000. It wouldn't be enough, I'm sure, because of what all is going on, and certainly want to promote those things in our county. And we know you guys do a good job, and taking on the covered bridge is going to be a pretty daunting task. So we wish you the best for that, and certainly hope that that can go on. It's I guess rescheduled anyway, but just thanks for all that you do. Any questions for anything else for Mike?
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Patty. Y'all be praying for me. I've got a daughter getting married next month, so I don't know how that's going to turn out. But
you've got two this year, right?
Two this year. One in May, one in December. So, yeah, it's turning out to be some kind of year. But thank you for everything that y'all do. Appreciate it.
Just tell them you can't invite anybody and save you some money, so nobody has to show up or anything.
That will not work with these two girls.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, Mike. Thanks a lot.
See you. Thank you.
Okay, next, Boys and Girls Club, Imagination Library, if we've got anyone, and then agriculture. I'm not sure if we got a representative for that. Boys and Girls Club.
Can you hear me?
You sure can.
Okay, good deal. I apologize. This is Jenny Wright. I apologize for joining via phone versus Zoom, but I just really didn't think anybody needed to see me feeding my dog or eating my dinner. So here we are. Just wanted to give you a quick update. We've continued services. We obviously, when the stay-at-home order was issued, we stopped serving kids in our traditional way because at that point, it just didn't seem safe. But we continued our services. We built a virtual club. So we're serving our members through Zoom, through an Epic library, through a variety of different sources. We've been getting meals out. When everything first started, the the waivers on the food programs with schools and other programs were differing. So we really jumped in to fill the gap when the food programs first started. You know, city schools couldn't serve food during spring break because of rules, so we were able to serve drive-by during that point. And from then on, we've been doing a delivery service as needed. I will say 6 months ago, I would have been coming and asking you all for the same thing that we asked from you all from last year. And we asked for 20,000, and you all came through with that 20,000, which I can't tell you how much that means to us, for teen programs. And we certainly made a lot of progress with those teen programs, serving more teens, opening for teen only hours, doing teen only types of events. And that money was actually leveraged. We were able to get on with a regional effort with Boys and Girls Clubs of America to get a grant to expand those teen services. So the local money that you all gave us was able to be leveraged into more money to serve teens and tweens and at a better quality. So made a huge difference. And really 3 months ago, I was ready to come and say, hey, let's just continue these teen services. But of course, we're in a different time. So now we're looking at what are we going to do as far as our reopening. And we don't have an exact date yet. And I mean for our traditional services, because we've been reaching out to families weekly. Our membership coordinator immediately became an expert in unemployment and emergency TANF money, and has gotten people signed up because so many of our families don't have internet access. So a lot of our staff have been signing people up for these programs remotely because our families, they just don't have that internet access or that tech savvy, and online is the way to go right now. But we are looking at our reopening scenarios right now. Similar to a lot of the nonprofits that have talked, you know, we're looking at potential losses of funding, and we had to put off our steak and burger dinner, which is our biggest fundraiser, you know, normally right around $70,000 each year. And we've tentatively rescheduled that for September, but I don't know that that's going to happen. But we're looking at reopening for essential workers and doing a phase plan and hoping to get open to more members through different sites and partnerships. Because right now we know that the kids we serve are the most vulnerable kids in our county. And we know that abuse or situations of abuse and neglect are only getting worse. Domestic violence is only getting worse in these times. And the number of reports that are coming in are lessening because kids aren't going to school and they're not going to those public places where people notice that things are happening. So it's really important to us that we get open as soon as possible in a safe way. But that, of course, is going to cost more because we're going to be talking about a 1-to-9 ratio. We're going to be talking about more cleaning supplies, more regular cleanings, all kinds of occupancy issues with those types of things. So we're trying to do it in a safe way. So really now, as opposed to in February when we turned in the proposal, we're really asking the $20,000 to go towards our summer program, really focusing on our education efforts. It's going to look different, and it's not going to be traditional Boys and Girls Club services, but we know that our kids, they were out of school for snow in January, snow in February, flu in February, and then COVID in March, April, and May. And so the amount of learning loss that's happening right now amongst our kids is incredible. And we want to make sure that we do everything that we can do to help mitigate that loss when it's time to go back, whenever that happens to be. So that's really where we want this allocation to go, is for that learning loss. We're looking at some partnerships with our Tennessee Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs. Felt that make that happen with some extra tutoring and different things like that. But we're asking that our $20,000 really go towards evidence-based programs. We're working with the school systems. We've got 2 school system people on our board to make sure that we make that happen in the most effective way possible, because we're talking about some really devastating amounts of learning loss. If anybody's got any questions, normally I would be there and I would pepper you with 200 pamphlets, but we're talking in a different time. So if anybody's got any questions, please let me know.
Got questions for Jenny? That's right. Anyone? But we're confident that you will take that 20 and use it wisely. I know you got a strong board down there, and I from coaching basketball teams and going in and out of that place, usually the kids are always having a good time and got a smile on their face. So we appreciate that service that you do provide. I know, having to go through adversity, you guys have stepped up. I've seen through, social media and promoting what you guys are doing now. We appreciate that and finding new ways to provide for these kids and help out. And certainly we hope you can keep going through the summer and be there for them, because I know there's a lot of kids, that are needy and are troubled, and and you guys are a good resource for them to be able to kind of lean on. So we thank you for that service and appreciate your leadership down there. And we'll certainly help you out in the best way possible. And if there are questions for Jenny, go ahead if anybody else has anything. All right, looks like we'll let you off the hook here, and we appreciate you sticking around with us for into 2 hours now. So you get back to feeding your dogs or whatever, and you have a good night, okay?
Thank you. We've got an incredible team and an incredible board. We appreciate the county commission.
Oh yeah, well we thank you guys, and I know you do a good job down there. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Imagination Library, Brad, what's up with that? Or is that program kind of shut down, or what's the deal?
Well, we did send a notice out, and we've contacted them multiple times.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I know Mr. Hicks, he always, presents to us, and I don't know if we can reach out to him again, or if I personally, I know Pat pretty well, so we'll see. I know they always, they help kids out as well.
I have a little bit of information for you all. If
I don't know, have they kind of shut that program down? Does anybody have any insight or ideas on that?
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I have reached out to our children's programmer, Ashley Williams, who is also on the board for the Imagination Library. They should have their traditional $5,000 request in for the budget. She's not really sure what has happened with that for it not to get in, but it should be same as every year, $5,000. They're still going strong. I'm sorry, I don't have statistics to share with you like Pat or Mr. Hicks normally would, but she can make sure that you all get that information by tomorrow. And I'm so sorry that I don't have more information for you guys.
No, that's okay, and it's pretty straightforward on that. Pat always does a good job presenting it to us, and I don't know what had happened, but we'll certainly entertain that request, and I guess we'll get with Brad, and maybe he can reach out to you guys again and see if we can accommodate that and help you out.
Sure. Do I need to get all that stuff to Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Yeah, he will need that. If okay. I guess. We'll see if he can send that back out through email tomorrow or the morning, or you guys call his office and
wonderful.
Take some time to talk, work that out.
Perfect. We'll get that taken care of. Thank you so much, and I apologize for that.
No problem. That's we understand, and try to be there for you to help you out.
Thank you.
Okay, Department of Agriculture. Got anybody, Brad?
This is an agreement that the county had with the state of Tennessee Department of Agriculture, as you can see on your handout. $1,000. This has been in effect since. Let's see a date on it. In the
1900s? Really?
1970, 89, something like that. They're asking the same amount they have asked for the last numerous years, 1,000.
All right, we got questions on that, anybody? All right, we'll move past that one. Pretty straightforward, and move on to the First Tennessee Development District.
Good evening.
Hello. All right, we got you back on mute, and that looks good.
Okay, can you hear me now, Brad? Or Mr. Chairman?
Yeah. Yes,
all right,
sir.
thank you. My name is Chris Craig. I'm the Executive Director of the First Tennessee Development District. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee for the opportunity to present our budget request for 2021. We are an association of member governments. We cover 8 counties in Northeast Tennessee and municipalities in those counties. The elected officials of those entities serve on our board of directors, of which Mayor Barnett serves as a member of our board, obviously. Our funding comes through federal, state, and local channels. We were formed in 1966 under the Development District Act of 1965, passed by the Tennessee General Assembly. And we assess what we call a local assessment on each one of our local governments, and it's based on a 31-cent per capita rate. This year, as has been the last 3 years, Carter County's assessment is $13,262, which accounts for about 8% of our local government assessments. Share with you a few projects that we have ongoing in Carter County right now. We do a number of things out of our organization. We have economic development and grant writing services, local planning advisory services, rural transportation program. About half of our employees, and we have 52 employees, about half of our employees work in our Area Agency on Aging and Disability, which serves as a pass-through agency for funding for senior centers, several of the programs that the First Tennessee HRA does, which includes the Meals on Wheels program and the congregate meal sites, as well as we do a lot of homemaker services through that department as well. I guess of interest to you all, I did want to share some things that we have going on in Carter County presently. We are real close to bidding a $500,000 home rehabilitation grant, which is funded by the Tennessee Housing Development Agency, and that will go to improve low and income homes for low and income individuals. We have a project under construction currently, which is the Carter County Emergency Operations Center, which we completed the grant application on behalf of Carter County, and that includes $315,000 of community development block grant funding. And the Carter County Dry Hollow Waterline Extension Project, which is in the design and easement acquisition phase. And we completed an application that was funded for $363,750. And we will be administering those grants on behalf of Carter County as well. Last but not least, we recently partnered with the Elizabethan TCAT on what's called a GIVE grant, and it was recently funded for $1 million. and it will provide a mobile STEM lab for Carter County schools and a full STEM lab for Elizabethan High School. So if you just factor in the projects that we have currently in Carter County, basically for every $1 of assessment Carter County provides us, there's a return of about $164 in direct funds that come back to Carter County in the form of these types of grants. We, I think Mr. Cody said it as well, we use these funds as well as our all of our local assessment funds. We use those dollars to match other state and federal grants. And as he said, we have never been able to use in-kind resources to match those. It's always been cash match. So we use those funds to match other grant programs that provide services that we deliver. Take any questions?
Yeah, well, we appreciate, those are some huge projects that you've really, I mean, we've been able to reach out to you guys and make those grants work for us. And certainly the EMA facility, the Dry Hollow project is going to be fantastic for that community up there towards Stony Creek. And that's kind of, I think I've heard that about TCAP, but that's wonderful news there.
Yeah, that was recently announced, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, that's very encouraging, and we appreciate you guys making that happen for us. So that's really good. But we'll open it up if there are questions for Mr. Craig there. He is available. Thing. Chris? All right, sir. We appreciate your time and hate to keep you at the bottom of the list, but that's just how it works out. But we appreciate you working for Carter County and all of our region around here. So.
Well, I'm a Carter County resident, so I appreciate all the work that you all do. I know it's a thankless job to be in public service, but I really appreciate the time that you all put in volunteering your time for Carter County.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. It means a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Last but not least, we've got Mitch Miller. I think he's on there, net rep. And then that will bring us to all of our outside agencies, and then we'll have solid waste we'll present after that. So without further ado, Mr. Miller, you're on. You've got the floor.
Great. Thank you, Ross. I really appreciate the opportunity, and thank you all for taking the time to hear our request tonight. Also, too, thank you for Rusty. Mayor Barnett's on our board. He's done this phenomenal job representing Carter County, so appreciate all his support as well. When we made our request, I guess back in February, that was pre-COVID, and didn't really realize what the impact was going to be. A lot of things have happened on as it relates to that and some of the things that we've been doing, and I want to share that with you tonight. But we made a request for $40,000. That was the request we had for last year, and we're funded $20,000. But considering the circumstances, we would be appreciative of the $20,000 if that's something that you all would consider doing. And I would even take that as an amended request on our end, because we certainly understand the implications and impact that it's going to have, not just on the private sector side, but also with the governmental side. So I commend the job that you guys are doing. I know that's going to be really tough, and just appreciate your support over the years. So thank you. Real quickly, we are a 501c6 non-for-profit organization. We're publicly and privately funded. We anticipate the impact of what this is going to mean on our budget to be pretty significant. On the private sector side, obviously, everyone is hurting right now, with the exception of probably grocery stores and hardware stores. So, from that end, we anticipate that those funding dollars to be cut down, and we will actually be working with our partners to do deferred payments too, and tapping into our reserves just to be as cognizant of really what's going on as we can. Would also consider the same with the county government to do the best we can to work with you all. But, unfortunately, being a 501c6 organization, we do not qualify for any federal stimulus funding. So we've kind of been on the outside as a non-for-profit agency looking at that side, and hopefully some things could change with that to provide some support. But all that being said, we basically have jumped into action to do everything we can to work with our business community across the region. And I want to talk a little bit about that with you all tonight. Some of you may be aware, but I do think that it's important that we take care of what we have, and our existing business base across the region provides jobs for people, and we want those individuals to stay here and be able to be successful here. So Abby, if I can, I'm going to share my screen and just go over a couple of things with you. So one of the things that we've been able to actually help launch and really have been pushing is an economic aid directory. And the intent of this was really started over a month ago to be a resource center for businesses to be able to list their business, to talk about, ultimately, the hours of operation, to how we can best support those businesses, and really just do what we can to get the word out about, what it would take just to get them by until we could get through this COVID crisis. To give you kind of an example of what that looks like, we basically had listings, and I'll show you the Carter County side, but putting it in there like Bob's Dairyland or Appalachian Printing, some of these that you all see like Doe River Roasters, giving them the ability to talk about who they are, what they're doing, and how we can best help them during this time. What happened from that, though, really, it took a whole new life of its own. About 2 weeks ago, we launched an economic recovery fund. And basically what we've been able to do on that side is look to help raise funds to help businesses actually be able to stay afloat. And to date, what we've been able to do on the donate side, and this is extremely easy, is we're looking to really get money in the hands of businesses that need help. And you can see kind of our service territory that we're raising money for. And it's as simple as, and I would encourage you all, if it's something that you have the ability to do from an individual standpoint, consider doing that. Or if you want to write a check, we can actually make sure those dollars stay in Carter County as well. But simple as email, full name, and a credit card number. That's all essentially we need to support a business. And we have an allocations committee made up of folks all over the region that review these applications. To date, we're sitting at about 240 business applications asking for support. That's pretty significant. And I'll show you the apply portal as well. So we really try to hone in on the most impacted sectors that we anticipate the biggest job loss and ultimately the biggest impact from a financial standpoint. And we honed in and focused on arts, entertainment, recreation, accommodation, food service, retail trade, and manufacturing. And we've been really blown away. Just in a 2-week period of time, we've been able to raise close to $115,000. That's going to go directly to help support businesses all over the region. So it's been pretty awesome to be part of that process, but also, it's not going to stop. We're going to have to continue to raise funds on that end. And we've been very fortunate to have some large scale private sector businesses inject some cash into this fund. I just want to go ahead and say, Ross, we appreciate the support that Bright Ridge has given for with their donation recently of last week. That's going to actually apply to the entire region, not just their service territory. So they really see the value in it and want to help the best they can. So all that being said, what we've been able to do through the fund is going to help businesses stay afloat, but also too, we've been very fortunate to work with some private sector individuals on this. I just want to quickly show you a spot that Cumberland Marketing did, and they did this at no cost to us. We've also had Creative Energy and a few others come in and support us. We've had CPA support from Blackburn Children's Segal. Joel Conkin with Wilson Worley has come in and helped us establish basically a trust fund to be able to collect money in, and helped us with all the legal paperwork to do that. So we've been very fortunate to have some key partners come in and do this at no cost. I just thought this was a pretty impactful video that kind of represents the region, and definitely want to take a moment to show that to you, if that's okay. And so that really kind of outlines some of the things we've been able to do on the business recovery fund standpoint. We anticipate to continue to push on that over the next coming months. And so hopefully that fund continues to grow. One positive thing that we hope to have come from it, some community development block grant funding is going to be coming from the Appalachian Regional Commission to support their service territory. Just the simple fact that we've already started a process here with the recovery fund, with the center of those dollars being focused on small business. We're hopeful that we can net a large amount of money to go help supplement this fund and get back to our businesses here within the region. But we still won't know probably for about 60+ days on that side, because they're still in process of seeing how they're going to be able to deploy money, and then also have a application process for those dollars. But in fact, we do have our act together and a little bit ahead of the game. This is going to definitely help us, with any requests that we have to them. But we want to do the best we can to get money back into the businesses that make this place special. A couple other things I'll quickly touch on, as they're simply COVID related to some things that we're doing. I'm sure you all have heard of our Talent Connect program, where we look to bring in college level students into the area and show them what it's like to work here, live here, explore here. We've taken a little bit of a different approach, especially considering the issues that we're going through right now with COVID. But we have created a website and basically trying to highlight everything of what it's like to live, work, and explore here. This is the site. It went live last Friday, and we partnered up with several businesses, but one in particular, to look at some direct marketing to areas that have been hit pretty hard by the COVID crisis, and talk about what it's like to actually live here and work here. As you think about places like New York City, obviously, being confined to probably a small square foot apartments, the density levels of what you see with people, so many people living there. Ultimately, I think it's going to allow everybody the opportunity to do a lot of deep thinking about where they lay their head at night and where they work, and realize that an area like our metro and our region really serves as a great destination for them for their career. We anticipate, especially with the low amount of cases that we've been able to have here compared to other major metro areas, and just considering our cost of living, to be a pretty big impact. I'll give you just a little example. On the living side, we have a cost of living calculator, and I'll just give you a quick scenario that if you were looking at New York City and really looking at, say, the Manhattan area, and you consider moving into the region, 50,000 base salary basically would equate to 18,444 if you move from Manhattan to here. So that just shows the cost of living side. Groceries are about 35% less, housing about 83% less, utilities 23.29% less, and really kind of just paints the picture for some of these areas that, we are a very affordable area to live in, work in, and play in, and just considering the quality of life side as well. And you can see the explore side, everything from outdoor recreation all the way to the work side. We basically have had these companies partner up with us, from Ballad to Snap-on, Mullicum Flooring, Dense Supply, Nuclear Fuels, General Shell. And then ultimately you can see job listings that they have available. You can see Snap-on even has some of their positions up here as well. So just trying to make sure that we make it as easy as possible for anyone considering this area to come here pretty easily, because right now a lot of folks are cooped up in their home or apartment and have a lot of time to surf the internet. So we want to do what we can through some marketing, through social media, to really target those areas and talk about, our region. And then lastly, one other thing simply tied to the COVID crisis as well. It's been very unfortunate that we've had to see a lot of these festivals basically shut down. I think Mike Maines mentioned it when he was talking about some of the impact that they're having on their end and maybe rescheduling Covered Bridge. But we've kind of taken a new spin on it and decided that we were going to bring an opportunity where Irwin Great Outdoor Festival was canceled. Obviously, Hiker-Palooza up in Rome Mountain, and then Trail Days over in Damascus have all been canceled. And we wanted to take an opportunity to partner up with the Unicoi County Extension Service Extension Office to do a virtual hike. So they already had a virtual hike each year that they put on, so we latched onto that. But we're actually going to be spotlighting those 3 communities in the Appalachian Trail that come through each of those 3 communities, and doing a webinar series. We've got teams that you can sign up for to actually hike the trail virtually. You can do that from home, And this kind of gives an idea of some logos that we're looking at the moment. And with that, we'll be developing story maps. So as you touch each of the different locations like Irwin, like Rome Mountain, and like Damascus, we'll get to talk about each of those communities, how, you know, the impact that they've been able to have, that they've had with COVID. So we look at bringing on someone, say, from Bob's Dairyland. Well, obviously would have the Rome Mountain cheerleader Mike Hill be part of that as well, because he's a big part of the reason why Hikapalooza is successful. And then also too is spotlighting some of the view sheds along the way, some of the things that you can see along the trail, the different species, and just why that Rome Mountain and other areas are so reliant on the AT, and just talk about what makes it special. So I just kind of wanted to give you a perspective of some of the things that we were doing on that end during this time frame. You know, we are still working. Right now it is from home, but we're staying in tune with our staff and also too with our industries that are impacted. For instance, Friday, we're having an existing business seminar where we're going to let businesses share best practices, health policies that have been instituted, and then ultimately try to help just from a supplier network, that if there are businesses that need masks or they need other things for their workers, or, you know, really looking at just guidelines, that our existing industry network can help share ideas, and that's taking place on Friday. Again, just thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to talk to each of you. Appreciate your support in the past and all that you're having to do. And I think somebody said this too, I really don't envy the position you all are in. I know this is a tough year, and I just hope that, you know, beyond just what you're having to do here from a governmental standpoint, I hope everything is going all right in your personal lives as well.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mitch, and appreciate your leadership and stepping up in this amidst this COVID-19 and taking charge on some of that stuff and promoting these businesses and helping out in that way. That means a lot, I'm sure, to a lot of these small businesses and trying to keep them afloat. That means a lot. I know you guys, I'm sure, had to change up kind of the way you're working and stuff. So best of luck to you guys as well. I know this is, you know, a great time for people getting out. Springtime is a good time of the year anyway to promote, you know, certainly Carter County, our natural resources. I've been to the, you know, some trails here recently, and, you know, there's just people, you know, more than you normally see. And so if there's any chance you guys can promote our kind of resources in the spots that we've got, we certainly ask upon you to do that at this time, if, you know, you can highlight us in any way you can.
Yeah, I will mention one other thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry. You know, we have a stewardship coordinator through AmeriCorps, and she actually, Channing Taylor, actually got a small group together on Watauga Lake a few weeks back and helped get a cleanup up there. And, you know, we also want to partner up with National Forest Service to do some things in the future as the parks start to open back up and get utilized. So.
Yeah, I got to work with Channing on a cleanup. That was actually in Bogey back in, I don't know if that was early spring or well, maybe late winter. I'm not sure, but seems like she's going to be some good help for you guys. But yeah, I'll open up the floor if there's any questions for Mr. Miller from the committee, if anybody like to anything for him at this time. What are you getting, Mitch, as far as some of our local businesses? Are they reaching out? Are they trying to get in touch with you guys on helping their business? Are you seeing much of that from our side of the county? You know?
Yeah, several Carter County businesses actually have applied for the fund. So, you know, everybody's impacted by this, you know, some more than others, but, you know, we've just tried to do the best we can. And we've actually started an ambassadors program too, where we've tried reaching out to several businesses. Primarily our connections have been on the manufacturing side, and you know, it's not been terrible. And what I mean by terrible, it's not been to the point where like a Domtar that has shut down operations. We've been fortunate on that side, but it's pretty bad. I mean, we've had some manufacturers, you know, lay off several people, you know, basically have to reduce hours. It's they're just trying their best to navigate through it right now.
Right. I know a recent Dentsply they were a recent one that I saw kind of advertised. It's very unfortunate. We hate that.
Yeah, it was over 100 people, unfortunately.
Every community around here, we know that directly affects probably some people in this county working there and things. So just tough times, and we wish everybody the best. And I know everybody's got their hands full on what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So keep working hard and keep fighting. We'll weigh the options here and see what we can do. I know you guys have helped us out. Is there anything, in the past year or so, directly that you can put a finger on and say, hey, we really helped here, and we get benefit from what we offer you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. The AY McDonald expansion probably was the biggest thing, and that was 2 years ago. That was one where they were able to do an addition onto their current facility and add in some jobs. We worked pretty closely with John Carley and his team at Snap-on as well through their expansion to help secure some state and TVA funding as well. So, that side's been pretty instrumental at working with them, and Alicia Summers in our office has done a lot with that. And then we've just done everything we can on the resource side with the outdoors. I know Ross had mentioned this, really focusing in on trying to promote the different festivals. We've been a financial supporter of Hikerpalooza up in Rome Mountain, but also to just trying to promote and help the businesses that are outdoor recreation based, because, to us, that's a big part of our economy that largely goes untapped, that we can really look at as a direct, impact to financial dollars, the hospitality side of things across the region. So, Carter County's blessed with a lot of great assets, Rome Mountain in particular. And so the more that we can help promote that, the better off we all are.
Yeah, absolutely. That just kind of popped in my head just now. I know they got the, where you can raft up there in Asheville, I guess. I'm not sure the river exactly what that is. I know we've got some businesses around here that offer that. Do you get much, you get anything from them, or anybody reach out to you on that type of raft service or anything?
Yeah, we work a lot with Matt Moses over in Unicoi County. I know that he's come over and actually reviewed or worked with a couple folks looking at potential to do some things over in Carter County, but he's based there at Unicoi. I know his business has been hit extremely hard. I'm pretty good friends with Matt and keep up with him pretty regularly, and he's basically had to lay everybody off. He also has the hospitality side with tiny cabins right there that basically just nothing's going on, and then he's big on the event side as well. So the outdoor recreation side, from a business perspective, social distancing has probably put a big damper on that. But I'm just hopeful that we see less and less cases as we start to open up, and we don't fall back into a position where we have to go do some type of shutdown again.
Yeah, that's what we really people need to be real smart about once things start to open up, that you do continue to take along these practices that we've been doing, social distancing, and do anything you can to limit any kind of spread. So we know it's tough, and you've got your hands full and had a tough time. So we won't keep you much longer. I don't think there's any other questions, but we'll certainly take this request and we'll talk it out, and hopefully we can help you out. And thank you for what you have done for us so far, Mitch.
All right, thank you guys. I really appreciate your time tonight.
All right, thank you. All right, that covers our outside agencies, and we do have some additional requests this year, but all great causes. And you sit here and talk to some of these these directors and people in charge, and you really feel for them, and most of it volunteer time. A lot of them just working just out of the kindness of their hearts and just their passion. So we appreciate each and every one of them. We'll of course weigh it out and see what we can do, and hopefully we can help them all as what they want. But we know that it's a tough time, and all budgets are tough, and we got other ones to talk about. So we'll move on. And I'm not sure if Benny's here or not, but we'll move to solid waste. And
Hello, Ross. Benny's here.
Hey, Benny, what's happening?
Buddy, how are you?
Yeah, doing okay. Yourself?
Doing good. Doing good.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. We'll let everybody grab. Make sure you got your packets right there. I know we got some information, so if you need to take a minute or two to kind of gather that stuff up, real quick. Let's see. There we go. Right. Okay. All right. Everybody good to go? All right. everybody unmuted and all that. Isaiah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Ross.
I was just wondering, I saw the mute, I guess that you were doing that on your own, so, but yeah, if you've got questions or whatever, certainly feel free. Okay, Benny, turn it over to you, buddy, sorry.
Okay, guys, thanks everybody for being here tonight, and let you know that me and Miss Kohler and Brad, we've worked on this budget 2 or 3 different times to try to get it as close as possible to being able to afford to run the solid waste department. So we have added in the budget 2 new employees, being you can't depend on the inmates to be there to help you out. So we've had to add employees in for that purpose. One for recycling and one for the landfill solid waste department up there. So that should reflect in our budget. Everybody still there?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
Is this the updated budget?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's on the screen.
Yes, ma'am. Me and Brad actually worked on this, I think, up until late evening, Friday evening.
Okay.
And we have taken it down, I think, a substantial amount since the first one we presented.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page as far as if everybody's got the paperwork, it should. As of 5/1/20, that's what I got at 12:05 p.m.
It is 5/1/20, yes, sir.
Of course, we had some extra expenditures in 1920 for the recycling center due to the fire and the purchase of the building, and $50,000 for related costs, equipment, what have you, were funded by the general fund. A portion of those costs were also funded from 116, as you can see in the estimated for 1920 column on page 3. And naturally, some of those costs won't be repeated in 2021. It's a one-time cost. I guess we probably need to start off with the revenue and kind of compare the revenues with the Department of Solid Waste that they're related to. If we go to page 1 of the detailed budget, very first one, transfer waste station collection charges. These come from the landfill, from the city of Elizabethan and various local companies and drive-in traffic. The next one, tipping fees, 43,110, comes from the convenience centers. The lease rentals, that is a new one this year. Those come from renting garbage containers. Sale of recycled materials. As you can see, those have really gone down from 2017-18 when they were 143,000, and they've steadily gone down. Of course, there was a fire in 1920 that contributed to the decrease there. But Benny and I are estimating those at 75,000 for 2021. The price for recycled materials has decreased dramatically. We're hoping those do go back up. And the miscellaneous refunds, 44,170. Those are reimbursement from the city of Elizabethan for testing, evaluation, and water tickets. The landfill does have to haul off water, leachate water, which is drained off from the landfill. all that to Johnson City. And the last item on that page is pretty much a plug figure to balance the expenditures with the revenues. As you can see, that amount is for 2021, 327, 879. And that has been funded from the general fund. And as you can see, that's gone up over the years too. Except for 17-18, it was 191, 18-19, it was 81. And for 19-20, projected to be 109,000. 2021, 327, 879. So essentially, in my opinion anyway, this fund, this operation needs to be at least working toward being self-supporting instead of going in the opposite direction. And whether that's an increase in fees, cut in cost, or whatever. If I understand it correctly, it's been 12 years or so since there's been any increase in any fees charged for dumping. Is that correct, Benny?
Yes, sir. And in our committee, we actually started talking about that, I think 2 months ago when we met at our last meeting to have a price increase for the landfill operations.
Well, I mean, as far as compared, like take a dump truck or any truck up there and go to you guys, you're looking at maybe $10 for a pickup truck, and if you take it to Irish Glen, it might be $50. I don't know if they got like a minimum or anything like that, Benny. Do you know if
Ross, I can explain that. They've got a 2-ton minimum over there, and basically it's $42.50 a ton with a 2-ton minimum. And we don't have a minimum at the landfill. We just charge by the weight that's on your truck. If you have a ton on there, you pay for a ton. If you have 1,500 pounds, you pay for 1,500 pounds.
Yeah, I mean that seems fair. I know it don't cost $6-8 if I take something up there. So fees are good as as far as getting rid of everything, but as far as making things operate and not really go backwards and move forwards, I don't know if I might have to consider something right there anyway to help offset some of these costs.
And another reason, go ahead, Ross.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I think you were going to
another reason some of the costs have went up is we took on the city of Elizabethan, taking their trash in, and then we also started hauling our own solid waste to Bluntwell.
So that was before the hauling part was contracted out with
yes, sir.
Landfill in Bluntwell.
It was actually subcontracted out to a third-party company.
Okay.
Any, do we not have a contract? I feel like I seen one with the city where it showed what we would charge them per ton. And on the same piece of paper, it was showing us what we get charged per ton to take it to Bluntwell. And we was actually making a profit. We
are making a profit, Mr. Hill. I think we charge the city roughly in the neighborhood of 34 something a ton.
34.25, I believe.
Yes, sir. And by the time you figure our tipping fees over there, our transportation, we're into it at about $25 a ton.
Okay. Because I remember a couple of weeks ago in budget, we actually had to take money out of unassigned fund balance for disposal fees.
Is that in the city or?
No, I mean, I'm talking about in
our budget.
Yeah, yes, last week or 2
yes,
weeks.
Sir. And basically what happened was when we budgeted 1920 budget, we didn't have the city intake coming in as far as their trash, so we did have to raise the budget up.
Do we typically the local people that pick up trash like Blue Ridge and some of the smaller guys, Do they bring their trash up to the landfill?
They do, and most everybody that comes in, with the exception of Blue Ridge, is $42.50 a ton, $41.50 a ton. I'm sorry, for the commercial guys.
Okay.
Where do you stand on recycles, Benny? Are you currently, I don't guess you're really taking those right now, are you?
Ross, what we're doing is we're doing businesses inside the county that we've normally done for cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually still taking that, being as we don't have to handle it by hand. So we're going to continue doing the cardboard. And actually, the cardboard went up this month to $100 a ton versus the $15 a ton it has been.
Oh, that's good.
So it's starting to move upward, or at least settle down for a little while.
Yeah, that was going to be my question also. I mean, do we see, I know we got a great operation going, and people like that service. Is that going to be beneficial to us? Do you see these numbers kind of increasing on what we can get for these items?
I think it will. And also, since last year, we have basically taken on City of Bristol. They're bringing their stuff to us cardboard-wise via Waste Management. Waste Management's also bringing cardboard from Unicoi County. And then we are also taking Johnson County with our trucks. We're actually going and getting it and bringing it down.
Yeah.
So, and that's some stuff that will add to our recycle budget that really wasn't in there last year, but that's something you can't depend on.
Right. Fluctuating rates on that too.
Exactly.
Benny, I know I talked to you last week about the brush burner.
Yes, sir.
Have we reached out to the city to see if they'd be interested in burning their brush instead of having it ground up?
I haven't in this year, but me and Danny have talked about that.
Okay.
Previous years, we have talked about it. Basically, I think Danny was wanting us to be able to transport our burner down to your all's storage lot.
Okay.
And state permit, air pollution won't allow us to have two separate burn permits for the county.
Okay.
At different locations.
Benny,
Yes, ma'am.
what is and I'm just looking, the reason for the decrease in the tipping fees?
Well, I don't know. That would be a sheet that Brad did.
Okay.
Just, you talking about for 2021?
Yes,
If I'm just going by
the $12,000 decrease.
okay, if you look over to the actual side, it was 70, then 65, and then I'm estimating 74 for this year.
Uh-huh.
I felt like 70 was a pretty good estimate.
Okay. And Benny, I got another question.
Yes, ma'am.
When anybody goes to the landfill to just do any kind of transactions, is a receipt of some form always given?
Yes, or at least offered.
Okay. I have had some people in the area tell me that they're not getting receipts when they're taking their trash. And I don't know if you know, and it's, I've had several different ones.
Is that from the landfill or Rome Mountain?
Huh?
Is that from the landfill or Rome Mountain?
It's actually from the landfill.
Patty, I've been usually in the office about half a day other than going back and forth, and the girls are always constantly offering receipts. We have to keep a receipt for everything that comes in for the audit purpose.
Okay.
So we actually keep receipts in the office.
And maybe they just don't hear the part where they say, do you want a receipt?
Well, now in the last basically 2 months, I've got a piece of plexiglass over the outside of the window to separate my girls from the general public, so that try to protect them. So that could be, but there's a slot in there that they hand the receipt through.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And another big expense for the landfill portion is the upkeep, repair, and maintenance on the equipment.
And let me kind of explain something on that. Most of our equipment works in an environment unlike dirt or anything else. The environment that our equipment works in is a very, very harsh environment.
Yeah, I understand that. Definitely. That's a lot of operating hours on those things too, isn't it?
And there is, we operate 6 days a week, and sometimes the drivers that hauls the trash, they'll start at 6 in the morning, they won't quit till 5. We're kind of at the mercy of the landfill in Blunteville as to what order we dump in. So, you know, they may get there at 3 o'clock and they may have to sit in line for an hour before they can dump over there.
Eddie, how much help have you been getting from the inmates?
Well, up until the virus hit there, we generally had 3 at the recycle center and 3 at the landfill. And now we have nobody.
Well, has the sheriff just shut them down because of the virus? Is that the deal, or?
Yes, sir. Because of the virus, they felt like it's safer to keep them in-house down there instead of letting them out and take a chance on bringing it back into the jail.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't the sheriff's decision. That did come from the Tennessee Supreme Court.
So it wasn't nothing against Sheriff Lunsford. He, like I say, you know, they've helped us out, but, you know, we all understand that, you know, if they can keep them in, keep them safe, why not?
Well, and that's something we've always said, Benny, whenever we've always talked throughout the years. You know, inmates are not employees, and it's hard to use inmates to kind of take that position. You know, that's something I would like to see, is if we could look at adding those positions or some positions to offset the number of inmates that we're having to rely on as far as trustees go. I know that that's a pain, and I know that even hiring people sometimes is for that job is a pain. But I definitely think we need to take a look at that.
And I appreciate that, Isaiah. You know, and you're right. You can't always depend on the inmates, because sometimes they do something that's pretty stupid, and they do it to themselves and get locked down, or, you know, they just something like this comes up that nobody has any control over.
So moving on in your budget, you do have some requests for some additional help, don't you, Ben?
I do, yes, sir. I've got an additional at the landfill and an additional at the recycle.
Hey, Benny, this is Aaron. Can you break it down for me why there's a $219,000 increase on disposal fees? I mean, is that just strictly from where we picked up Elizabethan's business? Shouldn't there be an offsetting portion to that, or why is it going up so much?
That is generally the offset from Elizabethan. And I guess that's where the revenue side probably should have came up a little bit with that, but most of that $200,000 is the offset from the city of Elizabeth.
Okay, so the increase in collection charge is $251,000, but then it's offset again by $219,000.
City of Elizabethan should be upwards coming into the landfill. Let's see.
336.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of coming into the landfill, what they're paying us. If you do what they've been averaging, about $32,000 a month, $384,000.
Okay, and where's that actually realized at? Is that in the transfer waste stations collection charges?
That should be coming through the transfer waste stations. Is that right, Brad?
That's right.
All right,
What
thanks,
about
Benny.
grants? I know that's zero. Are those just not available this year?
Grants.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't apply for a grant this year. We applied last year for the Rome Mountain Convenience Center, and we successfully completed that. And the way the solid waste grants are set up, it's either for recycling purposes to buy equipment, or in the instance of the convenience center, to remodel your convenience center to bring it up to date to what the state asked for.
Okay.
Benny, if you took off the city's trash and the smaller trash companies, how much tonnage would you think that the landfill brings in every year? If we increase price on, we could figure out a good price to offset, at least break even.
Trust, buddy, I don't have it right here in front of me, and I'd hate to. Blue Ridge is the next biggest company that comes in, and they're roughly payment to us in the neighborhood of $19,000 a month.
I mean, at the convenience center, you charge what, $1 a bag?
Charge $1 a bag for household trash, and then anything bulk like at Rome Mountain, they have a price fixture set up for like mattresses, couches, stuff like that.
Right. I mean, I just think, I know, you don't want to price it too high. At that point, you start losing that business, and it goes to the smaller, the independent businesses. But I mean, I think a little bit of increase would start offsetting some of this, and then maybe a little bit more price per 100 pounds or tonnage, or however you do it, for people just bringing in junk waste.
And that's what we had talked about in the meeting, in our landfill meeting, is basically looking at our price fixture now at the landfill and finding a way to adjust it upwards. We have not had an increase in 10 to 12 years that I know of.
Right. I mean, I'm like Isaiah. I agree. I think we don't really need to depend on the trustees, but we also need to be, I mean, this is a business. It is an enterprise fund. We need to be at least minimum breaking even. So, I mean, that would be my suggestion. We need to try to look at increasing prices.
And I'll caution you in a way, it's going to be hard to ever break even, being as we're having to transport trash. We can't compete with the other landfills because we have a transport fee in there where we have to move the trash.
Right.
So it'll be hard to actually ever break even, being as we have to transport our own trash and we don't have our own landfill.
But if you increase your revenue, you should be able to start offsetting some of these extra people you're wanting to hire.
You're exactly right. If we increase the revenue,
I mean, because in the business world, you either go out of business or you figure out you increase your prices. I mean, for a while you can absorb some of the loss, but eventually you have to start breaking even.
I totally agree.
I did look at a couple of months.
I don't know if you might.
Benny.
I did look.
Brad broke it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this again.
You hear, Brad? It may come through that conference phone. I don't know.
I think Brad's muted. It shows him muted on the screen.
We can hear him on the conference phone, though.
Yeah, I think it should be okay.
Okay. All right.
I can hear him.
I looked at a couple of months, the daily haul charges, and the average for those 2 months was around 2,000, 2,100 tons. That'd be roughly, if that's the average for a whole year, 2,500 tons. Which it would depend on how much you wanted to increase the waste charges.
And once we increase the weight charges, we want to make sure that we've still got to be able to play ball with the other landfills in the area.
How do
So
you
you said-
charge for demolition, Benny?
Excuse me?
How do you charge for demolition?
Demolition is charged the same. It is actually $42.50 a ton as well.
And Brad, you said there was about 2,500 tons a month that got brought in?
No, around 2,100.
And that's what's hauled out. Is that correct, Brad?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much of that tonnage is the cities? About 1,000?
I'd say probably close to it.
Benny, this spark tester, did you
Yes, sir.
say we were making about $10 a ton on the city's trash? Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
And I believe, Benny, there's a little bit of an increase for this year. Is that correct?
That's what I was telling Brad earlier today. I talked with him. There's going to be, I think it goes up in the 1st of August. It'll increase. And it does that every year for the next 5 years for the city of Elizabethan.
And I believe they have a 5-year option at the end of that. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir. They do. They have an option as well as we have an option to continue on or rebid.
There is an increase in the per ton charge at the landfill too. Each year, I can't remember how much it is per ton.
Now, what was you talking about, Brad?
You know, the charges for the Bluntville landfill?
The Bluntville landfill is, give me just a second, I'll give you an exact on that.
It's 1803 currently. But they have additional fees such as a county host fee, a state host fee.
Actually, I don't think we're supposed to be charged the other fees. Ours should be, I was wanting to think 1860 something. Let me find a ticket here.
Yeah, we're paying the other fees.
Okay, Brad, I'm going to ask a strange question, but has anybody calculated the actual cost per ton that we're looking at to bring stuff into the landfill? I know you're saying we're making, $18 a ton off this one and $42 a ton off of this one and different things like that. But with $327,000 proposed increase, with 21, and this is just off of I think the residential bring in about around 2,100 tons. That's $155 a ton.
No. For the 2 months I looked at, the average per ton was $24, $25. That's just the disposal cost, the additional fees, the transport cost, which includes the salary and benefits, depreciation, and fuel.
I know what I did. Never mind.
Hey, Brad, I'm looking on here at the tickets they email us, and it's 1803, and they've got a tax of $40.57 on the actual tickets.
You too.
But on the billing,
Go ahead.
they had on the billings each month, they had a 50-cent county host fee per ton and a state host fee of $1.25 per ton.
Let me rephrase what I said earlier. Sorry about that. So we're looking at, to offset this, we're looking at needing an increase of a little more than $13 per ton to offset the $327,000 the county actually puts into it.
And that's where you will get yourself in a bind with the other landfills, trying to keep up. Is if you raise it that much.
Well, I think one thing that's killing us is just our loss of revenue on the recyclables.
That is putting a hurting on us.
So I think if those increase and we can somehow increase just a little bit on the tonnage, you know, that might start equaling out a little bit, and we don't have to have such a large increase that would put us out of business. I mean, in comparison with like Irish Glen or somebody like that.
Brad, what are these? What's the 1,171,000? What is that figured through there, if you don't mind? What month?
Okay, that's the estimate for 2021. See, before the last month or so, those rental fees, lease fees, what have you, had been included in that 43,109.
Okay.
Well, if you back those out, the estimate before backing those lease fees out was right at 2 million. I mean 1.2 million, which is 100,000 a month.
Okay.
That's average currently.
So now on the 171, we're still missing April, May, and June. Are we right there?
Yes, you're right. Now that's the estimate. The 1,186,292. That's the estimate through June this year, which includes April, May, and June estimates.
Okay, and me and you talked about this, Brad. As of March 30th, we had already deposited 1.2 in the bank since July.
Not in that particular account.
Now, that's what the trustee had.
What the trustee has and what we have up here is different. They're on the cash basis. We're on the accrual basis. So a portion of what they're showing is coming in July was actually recognized in June of last year. Because it was receivable at that point.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If you take $100,000 off, that still leaves us $1.1 million as of March 30th. Is that right?
No, there wasn't that much received, Billy.
Okay.
I'll tell you exactly how much was received through March.
Now, Benny, when you're saying the $1.2 million, are you taking in effect all the recyclables, the insurance recovery, all that?
That's what the trustee said we had deposited since July 1 of this.
Okay, so you're talking about everything. I think Brad's just looking at transfer stations. Is that what you're looking at, Brad?
Right.
So
Benny's looking at the whole picture of how much total money was.
And that's what I guess that's what I am looking at, because that's what we had deposited was $1.2 million since July, and that's the physical year.
In the 43,109, there was 923,417 on March 31st.
How much, Brad?
923,417, which is for 9 months.
It's $102,000 a month. So if you take an average of that, you're going to come out at 12 months at about 1.23 million.
Right.
So you've got about a $50,000 buffer in there.
But that figure there includes those lease revenues as well.
Guys, as I was saying, I know our board is going to talk about an increase in the rates. So, that'll be forthcoming next month. But we have honestly cut this thing to the bone. I've got some work that needs to be done on the transfer station. The metal is starting to come off the back of the building where we've pushed against it for years on top of years. The load and chute has come off the wall from where trash has went over it for years. I mean, we've got some work that has to be done up there.
Brad, can some of that the money that we're going to get from the state, that can be used for capital maintenance, correct?
Can.
So can we use some of that to offset some of this stuff? Or is that even figured in this budget, Benny?
As far as the to repair some of the stuff?
Yeah, on the buildings.
Yes, sir. It is in this budget. It's
so we could recoup a little bit of that money and take it out of that.
See, Brad, what did we do? Let's see, solid waste. Let's see here. We put about, about 15,000 to 20,000, no, 15,000 in there for capital projects. And I think we put another 33,000 in there for maintenance and repair on buildings. So I was going to try to do one out of capital projects and one out of maintenance repair. It's two different aspects of work that has to go on up there.
And that could possibly free up a little bit of money.
What about the chute, Benny?
The chute, that was the one we was going to do, Brad, out of the I think 33,000 for building maintenance.
Okay. See, in buildings, it's got 20,000.
Is that for the landfill line item 55754?
Yeah.
It is 20,000. I'm sorry. And that's $7,000 increase, $7,800 increase over last year.
Can take, 35,000 from those funds come from the state. That would certainly help out.
Yeah, it'd help out a lot, I think.
Well, I'm looking at recycling center, Ben, the 55,751.
Yes, sir.
The solid waste equipment, about $8,500. What's that right there? Do you know? Oh well, it's a proposed 10, but it's $8,500 increase.
That is hoping to find a cheap baler that we can buy to add to what we've got, so we can try to stay caught up with the material that's coming in.
Yeah. Pretty big increase right there. I mean, you think, can we operate like some of this stuff? I mean, we got to do the best we can. I know you said you've really made a lot of cuts to this, and is there some things that you can just do without for now, and maybe we revisit about January or something and say, hey, maybe things aren't so bad, or improvement in revenues coming in, that we can do some stuff now when we couldn't.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with taking solid waste equipment out of recycling. That's fine, and maybe look at it later.
Yeah, I mean, we just gotta do the best we can
Oh.
with what we got, cause it's just unknown at this point of what all's gonna come in or, what we've got to work with. That's
Exactly.
the problem.
No, I
And
wouldn't
as
have a
far as-
problem at all taking that out there.
Well, that was just one I was looking at just the increases, 8,500 stuck out, so I was just looking at that, but, and as far as employees, I know you're looking for one at each place, I guess, landfill and recycling center.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are those mandatory for you to continue operations kind of what you got going now, or is that another one that we can say, hey, let's see where we stand in 6 months and go from there? Is that, really something you need as soon as
I
possible?
really, and I'll tell you why. The finance office has got on me pretty hard because I've been working my part-timers more than what they should be. So I've got to do something in order to not do that.
Yeah. And we're talking about trustee help. It's not going to be available. So, and like Isaiah was saying, that best to not really count on those guys and probably.
As far as that goes, they may have them locked down. You never know; they may have them locked down 6, 7 months.
Yeah, I mean you're right, and you'll be without that help the whole time.
And that's one of the reasons we've shut down the recycle center. We don't have the help.
Benny, how much are we losing every day by having the recycling center shut down? With the cardboard being at $100 a ton right now.
Well, we're bailing our cardboard, Travis. We're just not taking none in from the outside cities or counties that we've been doing for.
Okay. So what could we make if we started taking that cardboard back?
We was sending out in the last month, we was sending out 2 to 3 trucks a week. So we've sent out 1 truck this week. And that's loaded with roughly 40,000 pounds on there, on each truck.
So that's 20 tons.
Yep. That's $2,000 at $100 a ton.
And that's per week, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, basically, if we brought $2,000 in a week, that would pay for a salary easily if it stayed at $100 a ton.
And that's something you got to look at with recycling. It's like a roller coaster. It's up and down, up and down.
Benny, this is
Yes, sir.
Mark. On this sheet that's number landfill operation and maintenance under truck drivers,
Yes, sir.
it's an increase of $72,284.80.
Brad, can you explain that as far as what we did with that the other day?
Yeah.
You've got proposed in this 98,118.40, and is that for new employees, or is that 2 new employees, or 4 new employees, or what? I don't understand that.
Basically, I'll let Brad go over that with you. It's basically to get the budget right from where it's all come out of a different line item over the years.
There were 2 more truck drivers actually being paid out of the attendance category. If you'll see, it went down 81,000.
Okay, I see that. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Benny.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brad.
All right.
So on the Benny, on the part-time personnel, is that 11,000? Is that another part-time, or is that like a raise?
That would be a part-timer at the recycle center. If I'm not mistaken, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, was we pay him one of those out of another line item as well?
Currently, for the budget for 2021, I have Johnson, Bobo, Dave, and then there's an office person.
Yes. 2 of them should be recycling, 2 of them should be landfill.
Okay, so there's 2 recycling employees in landfill.
Yes.
Brad, I guess I got a question for you on this pensions. Why did the pensions go down $22,000?
Okay, very good question. For the last several years, Carter County's been paying 14.94%, which at some point was the required minimum rate.
Okay.
County to pay to TCRS. But since then, it has gone down each year because what was happening, the county was funding future payments. So it's like building a rainy day fund up with TCRS. So this year, the rate for 21, the rate is only 3.69%, roughly 11% less cost for this year, for 2021, 1920.
Now, how will that affect us next year? Are we going to be in a deficit next year, or are we going to be like at an even point?
It will go up some, maybe 1% or so.
Okay.
Number one, because the investment rate of return, they've decreased the forecast for that from 7.5 to 7%.
Brad, let me ask you a question about that TCRS. It's probably not the time to get into it right now, but that's figured on an actuary that every year, and it changes, if I understand, every year. And I saw it fluctuate from 8% to 16%, you know, depending on how the TCRS stocks did and what they had their money invested in and stuff like that. You think it's wise to cut that all the way down to almost 4%?
General fund, it made up $800,000.
Oh, okay, but now if it goes up to 10% next year, aren't we looking at a pretty good shortfall we would have to make up next year?
Well, I mean, we can either pay the 14.94 or whatever y'all choose to do this year. But I'm just saying, by taking advantage of that minimum rate, which is what it takes for our funding portion, to 3.69, it's a way to help the budget this year.
Okay, but now, aren't we, if it increases a substantial amount for next year because of the impact that might have on TCRS on their revenues, are we really not just kicking the can down the road for 1 year?
I mean, it's going to hit one way or another.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Brad.
Okay.
And of course, that savings wasn't calculated at the last budget hearing we had with the general fund. That was not included, right? I know the school board today, they passed that, or you guys talked about that? And used that number, the 3.69 or 69%.
It affects nobody's benefit, no current retirees or current employees. It's a defined benefit plan. Contributions have nothing to do with it as long as it's funded at the minimum rate, at least the minimum rate.
Okay.
So, Brad, I know we're on sanitation, but overall now, where do we stand for the whole entire budget since that wasn't figured into the general fund, $800,000 savings?
And general fund?
Yes.
446,954. 327,879 is solid waste of that 446.
Now, is that still taking into account the surplus for debt service?
and that's not calculated in there.
Okay.
Hey, Brett, it's Isaiah. Going back on the TCRS piece for just a minute, how does that impact? Does it only impact on the employer side, on that side, or does it impact on the employee side as well for that 14.94% change?
Just the employer. Has absolutely no effect on retirees or current employees.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what was last year's rate? Do you know?
Right offhand, I don't.
But we still funded at 14.9. I mean, no matter what it was.
Right. I was just thinking of, if we knew kind of what last year's rate was, and granted you have COVID that happened and things, it would just kind of give you a little bit more of a better guideline of how the market was trending at that time. Can't predict the future, but might make you feel better on some numbers.
Brad, speaking on what Isaiah's talking about, could you look at the last 5 years and see what the trend is, what kind of an average of what we should be, they recommend?
I will.
Would it be wise to go back farther, like to 2008? I know that's a lot of time, but like 2008 when the recession, your dip, and go through a dip, and that, like we experienced before, to get an average?
Sure.
Benny, you still on there?
Yes, sir.
Before we get too deep in that TCRS, is there any more questions for Benny or anything else you guys got on your mind for Mr. Lyons?
Benny, I just think maybe if you go back and just look at stuff that possibly we could just set aside for 6 months and maybe revisit first of the year, just to kind of see where the revenues are going to be, would be a great start, in my opinion. I can't speak for the rest of the budget committee, but
I don't have a problem doing that, Travis. I'll get with Brad tomorrow and see when we can get together and look it over again.
And like I said, with the revenues increase on recyclables, and then like I said, if your board discuss a increase in the tonnage, maybe we don't have to cut all this stuff.
I can follow right along with that. And if you're looking for 2 employees, I don't know if you could balance that out. Maybe have one where you need it the most, or that'd kind of be up to you and your needs right there, Benny. But if that's a possibility as well, maybe instead of hiring 2, maybe we can hire 1 to help you out at the recycle center or wherever you need it most. That's just something to consider.
Right.
Benny?
Yes, sir.
This is Mark again. On the two new employees, are they going to be full-time employees?
They would be full-time employees, yes, sir.
So the county's essentially taking on 2 new employees that you're going to be picking up retirement, insurance, everything on.
Yes, sir.
Would it be, I'm just asking, Benny, I'm not trying to micromanage what you do. You do a great job. But would it be feasible to have like 4 part-time employees where you didn't have to carry all the benefit package with them?
I can try that. A lot of people, when you tell them they want 29 hours, they're going to get 29 hours a week. That's not enough from raise their family on, and they don't stay with me long.
That's a good point, Benny. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would really like to see those if we can. If not both, I would really like to see at least that 1 full-time employee. That's something I've been asking for where are we at now? 6 years, I think. You cannot rely on your inmates to be your trustees for your help. You can't rely on them as employees. And the landfill has always been really big about that because they just didn't have anybody. You never know what's going to happen with the trustees, whether you're going to have enough to do all the tasks that we're using them for in the county. you know, I know that that's a priority. I think with the sheriff is to get them to Benny, but you know, I really would like to see us try to make that step in the right direction. I know it's rough this year, but you know, it goes back to eventually we're going to have to do it.
All right. Anything else? We'll wrap up, Ben. I know it's getting pretty late anyway. We might open up the floor for just a little discussion with ourselves here after we get Benny loose. But any last questions for Ben? We'll let him go. All right, Benny, we appreciate you. Know you work hard up there and got a tough job, and you got a good group that's helping you out. So we always thank you and know you're always doing the best you can with what you got. So,
Folks, I greatly appreciate you all, and I'll get with Brad and see what we can come up with.
Thanks, Benny.
Thanks, Benny.
Thanks,
you all.
Benny.
Benny.
let's lose battery.
Ken Googe on?
Ken Googe, Kenneth Googe. Yeah, I don't, that'd be Park and Rec Board or whatever we call it. Yeah.
What do you think about Ross?
Parks and Fair Boards.
Like some of these older men that's looking for just a part-time job. You know, some of them's they're drawing for retirement.
Yeah.
3 or 4 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, as Mark brought up, and not having the benefits and all that, but I don't know, and it's possible.
Got quite a few of them out there I know that wants a job.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, if, you know.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. The thing you have to be careful about is we're about to get more than 29 hours.
29 hours, and like, you know, as Benny said, he's operating sometimes, you know, as hard as they can go, 6 days a week, and I don't know if you cut into, you get them 29 hours and you just gotta shut them down. I don't know.
We're working same ones up there the same way. We just keep up the hours. And they take off so many months to come back. They're the same ones. You know, 4 or 5. I put them on part-time. You're saving money by hiring them that way. Well,
yeah.
If they want the job that way.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know if Benny and Brad can kind of figure out, see what's going to work best for him and his operation up there. But we got to consider that.
We got one of them just put back the other day. I guarantee he's probably making more than, or one of them said probably here to him, but he's eat up the money and come back to his part-time.
Oh yeah, just looking to work.
See, he said he's bored. Didn't have nothing to do. And he said he traveled the world, done all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would rather give a 20-year-old young man somebody with looking to really go out and provide.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you also, you get individuals that have, that have worked for the county or worked for a county that's drawing TCRS. They'll work all their hours up or work as hard as they can, get their hours in, and then by Christmas, January, February, they're finished. They've maxed their hours out, and then they can't work anymore. But then you have that position that's kind of open that you're kind of paying for, and you lose that help. Part-time, it's a trade-off. You have to hedge your bets as to if you are going to be better off, offsetting one full-time employee with 2 part-times, or, taking that part-time or taking that full-time employee slot and being able to work them, 40 hours or whatever you need done.
And if they don't stay, then you're going to have to retrain them, the new person.
Same as your part-time people.
Oh, that's what I mean. If the part-time people don't stay, you're going to have to retrain.
Yeah. I mean, I personally would rather make that investment in an employee, to make them a full-time employee and provide them with, our insurance, has changed drastically in the last several years, to where we could actually have an employee to pay, to be on insurance and it not cost the county an arm and a leg and cost the employee an arm and a leg. And, they're not making much as it is at the landfill or the recycling center. I just, it's a tough decision. I don't envy Benny on that one at all, trying to figure out how to be able to run his department that way.
Yeah, well, we'll make sure Brad relays this to Ben. I don't know if he's still on here or not. Benny, you still with us? Probably not. So we'll have, they can talk that out, and maybe Benny kind of get an idea of what he's really looking for, and then, bring it back to us, and maybe we make the final decision. But it sounds like they certainly need the help, and we can't count on trustee help not just at the landfill or the recycling center, at the animal shelter, the places these people are used, which is unfortunate. But we should. Personally would rather see somebody, get a new job instead of us using inmate help for our operations. So, but I was going to just open it up, the floor, for any, because we didn't really get to talk last time with general fund. I know we were just asking a few questions here and there. We've had a little time to digest some of these numbers and the requests. Of course, we didn't get to factor in, $800,000 savings if we don't fund the TCRS at the same percentage as last year to free us up some money. But is there any kind of scenarios or questions that you guys have, or recommendations? Maybe we can get back to Brad and see if, as far as working some things out and making ends meet for us a little bit better. They got any ideas? Or
hey, Brad, I know most everybody that's put in a budget this year has requested at least a 3% increase for their employees. If we take that out, what does that do to the numbers, or have you run numbers on that?
Those have been taken out, except for in the general fund, except for the planning department.
I mean, what kind of a consensus with this committee here? I know it's, we're really in a really tough time and an unknown time. I think, it'd be best just to take raises out completely, and just kind of get a consensus of what you guys are thinking on that as well.
I think we all would like to get a raise, and at my job, I'd like to have a raise. But I know the reality is, with the times, I don't expect to get a raise. I'm just glad to have a job, and I think in the end, I think all of our employees would be happy just to have a full-time job.
I agree. We need to take the raises out.
Yeah, and I think honestly, in some cases, I think we need to look hard at adding extra employees as well this year. It just may not be the time for it, because, just the way it is.
Yeah, and I'd consider that as well, and even mention it to Brad, just, have a strictly a hiring freeze. Anybody that's asking for something, just say, hey, right now is not the time. We're sitting here listening to Benny, and it sounds like he really needs some help with his operations, but you're looking at the animal shelter. What are they asking for? Two or three?
Yes.
I think.
Yes, 2.
So that's tough, and that's a hard decision we've got to make. And you're not going to make everybody happy. We know that.
Well, just remember, you have to be careful stating that as well. You have to have you've got to have the consensus of the office holders, because that's something that they could push. That's their decision on whether or not they need more employees, or they need money to have more employees. As long as you have their consensus, and they're like, hey, we'll push this off for a year or two, or if something really bad happens, we'll entertain it. You just have to be very careful about how you word that to them.
Yeah, I hate to hiring freeze. That's pretty. That's some pretty bold words there, and I'm not trying to make decisions for these people. I'm just trying to make the best decision for all of us and to present a budget. So,
I mean, we look at the property assessor. We know it's reappraisal year. They have to have somebody, but is that going to be a full-time job for forever now, for something that happens every 5 years? Let's see what else. Animal control. You know, I know the animal shelter wants an animal control officer. If that's something that we're going to pursue, then we need to pursue that.
yeah, I don't think we can really say, hey, a hiring freeze is just no new help there, but because we are, you know, these places got to operate, and you know they've.
You know what I mean?
Control officer. That's been a hot topic, and you know we've talked about funding that and having that person in place. So it's just unfortunate we're dealing with the specific time we're in now and dealing with this quarantine issue and things going on.
Yeah, and let me read.
Just some feedback discussion. That's really what I'm trying to do here, not make any.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, we got the election commission, and they've got 2 elections, so there's quite a bit of an increase just because of 2 elections. I mean, we're looking at probably 60 to 70 grand just in those 2 elections. It's not going to be every year.
Yeah, and it's tough that is that time of year.
Didn't they also ask for new furniture though?
Yes, ma'am.
Very true.
Yes. It seemed like it was like $6,500 or something. Don't hold me to that figure, but that sticks in my mind. And
I know the school system's cut the bonuses out for the principals this year and next year. That's something I think we can look at too.
The bonus line as far as adding in some of these.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, we've got a lot of those that didn't have bonuses listed anyway. So I don't know how much that actually does take out, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I think Brad has worked that up and some new figures on that. Will you present us with another one, Brad, that's got, I guess, maybe the TCRS number at the 4% or close to it? No bonuses, no rate increases or salary increase raises, I guess you could say.
Chairman?
Yes.
Now, I know it's something I've been very firm about in my, almost 2 years on the commission and it's something we've talked about on financial management as far as giving people money for their certifications. And I do know that planning has planned on getting some certifications this year. And I firmly stand behind that decision. I would be a hypocrite if I didn't stand behind that. As far as just raises in general, I would agree no raises, but now getting paid to get a certification, I do have to stand behind that. And I don't know how the other board members feel. But that's something I feel strongly about. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. But is there not something mixed in there that I think the director even gets a percent of that certification? I may be wrong on that, but
that's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that really. I mean,
Right. I agree with that. But I mean, if they go out here and get their plumbing inspector or whatever, I feel like they do deserve something for any department that has somebody getting a certification.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have some incentive to go get that certification to better yourself. So no, I can agree with that.
Well, I was going to say you're going to have to do your definition on what is considered to be a certification.
I mean, we was working on that in financial management until all this went down. So we've kind of we're not really there.
Yeah. How about Travis? Speaking of financial management, the salary study. Where might we stand on that right now?
I think Brad Johnson's listening. Maybe he can comment on that because I don't know. I heard that they possibly had to change people because of layoffs. I can't.
Brad's not in here anymore.
I spoke with Michael Kennedy, and that is all on the back burner. There's nothing moving with that right now. Apparently, they lost a lot of their employees, and the woman that is over, the main woman, she's doing everything now and trying to communicate through emails with Michael. So they've decided that that's just going to have to be put on hold. And that was a conversation with Michael, I think, last week before last when I seen him.
And actually, they came back, and the lady wanted us to do most of the work.
Yeah, and that's what Michael said. Wanted you all to do most of the work, and yeah.
and us give him the money for it, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
Well, that's no good. I'm just curious on that. So that's, we see where we stand there. Is there a way that, I don't know, of course, we don't really have numbers from last year, actuals, all that, and, you know, amended monies and everything, that we could take, I don't know if we take 18, 19s and the budget we set there, compare it to what's being proposed and you know, what you're going by revenues, and just see where we add up and do a comparison, and, you know, at least, because, you know, we need to be conservative as we can, because it is a really unknown. And come 6 months from now, whatever, keep using that time frame. But I mean, if certainly we compare these budgets, see what that looks like there, and anytime, you know, an emergency comes up or something needs to be taken care of, piece of equipment or you know, something that needs to be done, we can address that, seeing where we stand in 6 months, because it's hard to with these times to really say, hey, let's set this budget and feel comfortable with it, because nobody knows. So I just wanted to throw that out there and kind of get an idea of what everybody thought on that as well.
And Brad, I don't want to put more work on you, but something else we might look into would be going through each department to see what possibly could fit into that money from the governor, that we could start recognizing that revenue against those expenditures.
Yes, so far I've got 15,000 for the
ADA.
We lost the conference room.
Uh-oh.
Did they hang up?
Nope, no, there he goes.
That thing's been going for 4 hours and 43 minutes. Oh, boy. Well, how do you feel the TCRS, the benefit, if we cut it down to the 3.9, is everybody comfortable with that, Brad? Or, I mean, do we need to find the middle ground there, or is that we just go with that and you feel okay? Okay.
Ross?
Yes, sir.
I think I'd feel more comfortable if I had numbers, you know, from an average of what the percentage had been over the last few years. But that's,
yeah, that'd help get us some data just to
right.
Anyway, that'd be good.
Because we certainly don't want to dig ourselves a hole here. I know we've got a lot of obstacles here, and I don't think this thing's going to be over in 3 weeks, you know, so economically. But that being said, I don't know if y'all heard it, but the town of Abington laid off 70 employees today.
I think I heard something about that, and of course that's the last thing we want to do is start.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I think the outside agencies can get a big cut on some of the things they're asking too.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, you heard the one lady talk about, I forget who it was, but I guess Washington County or Johnson City, whoever, just to, I guess, not fund any of those outside agencies, which that's not what I'm proposing. Certainly don't want to do. Those are, they do provide some great services and help a lot of people, but they cut those out.
I believe that was the Children's Advocacy Center.
Pardon, Travis?
I believe that was the Children's Advocacy Center that Washington County was going to cut.
Washington County's not funding.
Yeah, and that, you know, of course, we just get this stuff tonight or, you know, over the weekend or whatever, and we can take a look at some of that and, you know, see what we think we can work out. But some of those, you know, we pretty much need to see where they're at.
177,000 increase.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. But of course, you heard the first one, Mr. Jones, with the volunteer fire departments. You know, he said, well, we turned this budget in before any of this stuff really started to happen. So I think they'd be happy with what we've approved them last year at the 420. Butler Fire Department, you know, 16 calls for 20 grand. I don't know if that's a good deal or not for us.
Yeah, when we're not giving the city anything.
Yep.
And they're paying those taxes for Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked the numbers on that, Ross. Johnson County only gives them $20,000.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And
they had 56 calls for Johnson County. Was that what he said?
Yes, $363 a call for Johnson County.
Yeah.
You've done it too. And then for the 5,000 for the 16 that we gave them, that's $312 a call. So we're close if you give them the $5,000 to what Johnson County is already funding them.
Well, one thing I'll mention on that too, and our Carter County Fire Association president, what's his name, David, he mentioned it. They have we've kind of stepped on their toes a little bit, I think, in the last couple of years, but they had a standing agreement, a memorandum of understanding with them that if, they needed mutual aid, they would go. A good example of that is when Shounds Lumber caught on fire. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Hampton kind of beat them there. It was mutual aid. And so there's been a couple of questionable things that I've had. I raised those concerns last year. I continue to raise those concerns this year. Quite personally, I'd rather take that additional monies and I'd rather give that to the volunteer fire departments and then work out something with the Elizabethan City Department to help them out with maybe a payment or something on that pumper truck. But that's personal opinion.
I mean, if you look at that, speaking of Elizabethan, I mean, if you look, it was a 20-year bond, Mr. Estes said, on $495,000. So you're looking basically, if you give them $25,000 a year, would be go towards that fire truck. Over 20 years would pay it off. I mean, I know that's a long time to stretch out, but I mean, that would be basically the county would be buying a fire truck. And something else I think we need to look at as towards the volunteers. I don't know how we would separate it. We've got some of these stations, like Hampton has 2 fire stations. I think Watauga has 2. Stony Creek now has 3. Possibly giving them a little bit more somehow to fund those other stations, because I believe Hampton's actually getting ready to start a 3rd station, possibly up near Simile Creek, to get those people better coverage and actually lower their insurance rates. So it might be something. I mean, I got the call volume. Hampton run the most of any volunteer. They run 387 calls. Of course, they respond with everybody else. They help them, so they're very centrally located. But I mean, I think all of our fire departments do a great job. And I agree with Isaiah on everything that he said.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to touch on, and it doesn't have to do with the fire departments, but thank you, Travis. The monies that we're supposed to be getting with these COVID funds. Of course, I was gone for a little bit and then come back and all this stuff was going on. But I know the mayor had spoken about, we've got a boiler that's going to have to be replaced. We've got the $15,000 for ADA. There's some pretty big things. That boiler's been a very big issue the last couple of years. I agree that we need to look through these budgets that we have, offset funds where we can, where those monies fit. But really, in all honesty, those capital projects, the things that we usually can't afford, if we have some monies to set aside for those and use for that, I think we would be better off in the long term fixing those issues, those gaps, than we would by throwing the money into throwing like most of the money or even all the money into some of these budgets.
Yeah, I think I heard Austin. I talked to Austin earlier, and he's wanting to get on the agenda for Monday night. I think they're looking to have somebody come in and kind of maybe test these things out and see where some of these boilers stand. I think, Mayor, does that sound about right? But I mean, that's just kind of throwing that in there, Isaiah. You're talking a little bit bigger picture there.
Well, I can tell you, just from being around from the 6 years or so, and being around over here at the sheriff's office, the building that's over here, you've got very aging equipment, air conditioners that sometimes work, heaters that sometimes work, air work really, really well during the winter. Don't work so good during the summer. You know, we have a lot of that aging equipment that, you know, we've always kind of had to put it off because we just don't have the funds for that without having to go out, you know, with a kind of a capital note or something of that nature.
Yeah, and you're saying use this available funds to kind of take on these projects. Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm?
Not all of them. Like I said, I think that we should look through these budgets and see, you know, what we could use those funds for to help offset. But I think that we would be better served, the county would be better served, you know, like if mayor ends up needing a boiler over there, then I think that, you know, we need to, while we have the funds available, while we can do this, we need to go ahead and get that boiler changed, because, you know, by the time you get done, repair after repair after repair after repair, you know, is it going to cost more than $100,000? If we could eat that up front, then sometime in the middle of December or January of next year when it's 12 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And Brad, correct me if I'm wrong. We have till April of 2021 to apply for the money, but we have until 2023 to spend it all. Is that correct?
I'm not sure of the cutoff date for spending the funds.
Okay.
Hey Travis, this is Daniel Estes. I can tell you, you're right on the application date, but you need to have the money obligated, not actually spent, but at least obligated by June 30 of 2021.
Okay.
So you have to be under contract, or otherwise have that money, have a home, and but then there is a later, it's actually got to be spent date, but you've got to at least have it obligated by June 30, 21.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Estes.
Appreciate you sticking around there, Daniel. Yeah.
I'm a trooper, Ross, here to the bitter end.
No, that's good. Hey, we're working together, and appreciate you actually, you know, having the patience to sit here and hear us out. So
this will be a marathon for him for the council meetings.
yeah, they move quick, and of course, there's a lot to go. I'm sure his budget meetings haven't been easy here lately, if that's what they've been working on too. So.
Oh, I'm sure not.
Yeah.
On your note about the fire departments and the multiple stations, you know, like I mentioned earlier with Mr. Jones, you know, one thing that to keep in mind is that this COVID's done. And I can speak towards Hamptons. I can't speak towards any of the others because I was fairly impressed with what they've done. You know, early on they instituted a policy that on the calls that they go on, regardless of whether, you know, the person is exhibiting symptoms or they answer the questions correctly or incorrectly, depending on how you kind of look at it, you know, they're decontaminating their trucks and wiping those trucks down just about after every call. And, you know, a couple of times, that's not that expensive. You look at their call volume that they go on, you know, and you look at all the medical calls and, you know, the fire calls and everything they have, that starts getting really expensive. And if other agencies, these other volunteer fire departments have fallen along with them, you know, they're going to be incurring the same costs. And, you know, they're doing that to keep not only their people safe, so that they can continue to respond, but also to, you know, limit the cross-contamination effect that, you know, they jump back in a truck and go to another call. So I think that's very important that we remember that too, that, you know, this year it's going to be different. You know, Johnson City's not doing the fireworks. You know, you're going to have maybe hopefully a lot more local. You know, you've got Hampton and these that are going to be selling fireworks. Maybe their fundraisers will be good this year, but you know, that's other than monies that we give them. That's a lot of the monies that they rely on, is those fundraising funds, and they're having to burn through a lot of PPE and a lot of Clorox wipes and solutions and things. So that's something else to keep in mind, and that goes double for you know, the rest of the county departments as well. And you know, I know some monies are going to be available back, like I said, these COVID relief monies, but that's just something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, what else you got? Anything else? I know we've been here for quite a while now.
Are we gonna meet at the technical center?
That was my next question, Kelly.
Yeah, I was going to get, that was going to be the last thing we discuss. I went over there and saw the setup and talked to Gary before this meeting, and and it looks like a great setup. I don't know if legally, because I was hearing a couple different things. Gary was, and I don't know if he's still on the line or not, that was, a good operation to have come here, and I'm hearing kind of a conflicting story on that. It's as far as Attorney Hardin's recommendation that we can't really have, basically a whole committee meet there, a whole group without not publicly advertising that there is a meeting, a physical location for the meeting.
That's my understanding too, Ross. This is right. I'm with you. My understanding is the same thing. That's why we're going to have to do at the full commission meeting as well. We all have to be in separate locations.
Okay.
How did the school board do it?
Hey, let me explain what we're talking about with that, okay? My understanding from the governor's, the way that read, is if you meet the quorum there, that is where it will be held. So see, they actually had 7 board members here. So that was where basically the vote was taking place. Everybody else could log on, but see, it's like Dave Buck. I'm not going against nobody, I don't know, but basically Dave could join in, but he wasn't allowed to vote unless he was here. So see, basically what we're saying is if you're going to use this department, you could, you all as the 8, your budget committee, you would all be here. But you can't have 7 of you here and then 1 of you on Zoom somewhere else. It would have to be, if you're going to have the budget there, you would have to have budget there. In other words, all 8 of you. You can't have 4 of you here and then 4 stationed somewhere else. You're going to have to be in a group or everybody busted out. That's how we done it with the school. Because that was cleared out with us, that basically that's why they had the 8 board member slots there. Only 7 showed up.
You also have to have the 6 feet distancing guideline that we have to follow. It'd be hard to do that with 24 commissioners.
We're talking about the meeting on Thursday, not the commission meeting.
The budget here, you could have the budget with you all 8 and Brad and them, you still can get the people in there, but the full commission, there's no way we could do it here. We're just talking about you all could meet one-on-one as far as yours in there and still meet the 6 foot as far as just your committee of 8.
I can't speak to the committee, Commissioner Collins. I've been working toward the full commission meeting.
Yeah, I just was asking about Thursday's meeting, not full commission.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. And that's, I was, I talked to Gary, and that's exactly what he said just then. When I got here earlier, kind of heard a different thing that might have been not the procedure to follow. I myself personally think things went pretty good tonight with Brad sitting here and Willie and myself. And unless you guys are really think we need to change it up, as far as it seems to work just fine how we've got it. Unless everybody's in favor to move it up there.
Well, I'm in favor to move it up there because
I'm too.
This is really, we're just getting by. We're going to have to get down to the nitty gritty on this, and it's better to be sitting in the room with our members. We should be no different than the school board. The school board handled it, done a graceful meeting, and there should be no reason why we can't do it.
If I might jump in, the conversations that I've had with Attorney Hardin trying to get this set up, and Ray can chime in because he and I have talked and we've had the same conversations with Josh. Josh has said that to do these meetings electronically the way it was allowed under the governor's order, there can be no physical location for the meeting, which means the committee can't be in one spot unless we're letting the public in. That was his explanation to me and to Chairman Lyons, and that was our understanding.
Mine as well.
Then why is it okay for Mr. Bailey and Mr. Lyons to be together and the 3 or 4 at the courthouse to be together? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Mr. Lyons is just here to observe so I can try to get the full commission right.
Well, how was it legal for the school board to conduct that meeting? We should be no different than the school board.
confused what you're
I
saying.
can't tell you what their attorney told them. All I can tell you is the information that Josh relayed to me in trying to get these meetings set up and done legally.
I can tell you that when it comes to the school board and some other boards, I think that there is kind of, if I understand this right, Gary, you'd probably know more. Didn't they pass an amendment not too long ago that allows a remote connection for a school board member or something like that? I know that there were several boards that were included. That 911 board can do that, and several other state boards and local boards. I can't remember if the school board was included in that or not.
All right, this is how, when Amanda set this up, the school board, if they had the 8 members here, they voted here and we streamed live to the public. That way they're on Zoom. The public is involved. It had to be recorded and was there. Just they actually held the meeting here by Zoom, only on one camera. That's how they got away with that like that. Now, the only difference was you can't have 7 there and then somebody else on it and then be allowed to vote. That was because the quorum was met here, so they had to be here to vote. You can't have part voting online and part not. That's where it was. They can't have 20, we couldn't do the full commission that way. They could have your budget there with just 8 of you and Brad and your attorney, which would be 10. And then see, basically, we're still meeting inside that 10 building, but those buildings have 2 different serial numbers on them. So legally, you could put 20 people in that building. It's only 10 per building. You see what I'm saying? Because it's 2 separate rooms. But there wasn't that many people here. There was 12 or 13. But the thing about it is the school board was in the one group is how they done that, because we called and found out and Amanda sent an email out. Everybody else joined on Zoom. The only people that was there was the school board and that guy that presented. I'm just saying, if you just wanted to have your budget there, we had it cleared with the school board and the superintendent. It was there, but it really would just be you 8. There's no way we could do the full commission this way, because the general public wouldn't be allowed in there. It would just be you all as far as your committee. That way you could sit and talk one-on-one, and if like Benny, he would come in front of you and present like the guy that went for the superintendent. He's done, somebody else could come in. It's just they'd be talking to you personally. That's all. I mean, as far as what legalities, all that stuff, I'm sure the commission's probably different than the school, but I know the school come up and said that they had to be in a group or all busted up. You couldn't have 2 or 3 on and 2 or 3 not. So they decided to have theirs as a group. So that's where we put it. That's, I mean.
Well, first of all, I mean, we got to follow the Public Meetings Act, and to me, if you get 8 people together, I mean, a full committee, that you're really defeating the purpose of having an electronic meeting. And it
But
seems
so
to me
the
that
public can see. With the electronic meetings, the public can see it.
You're still going to be broadcasting it on Zoom live. It's just.
I think it's still considered a Zoom meeting because you're just, everybody's still involved on Zoom because the committee's broadcast through Zoom, to the public and anybody that wants to see.
We broadcast live, so we were still meeting. The public was allowed and it was recorded. It's just it put those guys in one room together as that way in case they wanted.
And instead of having each individual screen, the committee was one screen.
Right.
As a whole Zoom committee.
So I'm not just set up and all that. Next question that I'll ask then, is everybody comfortable with meeting in one location?
Completely, for me anyway.
Why wouldn't we be?
I think.
Well, I mean, there's a pandemic.
I'll be honest with you. I'll just tell you, I'm probably out, and because of some health issues and stuff like that, and the possibility of contacting. I mean, I could catch it anywhere. That's true, but there's 8 on the committee, and you're gonna have 2 more people, the attorney and somebody else you spoke of. Plus, then you're gonna have Abby to do your Zoom, right? And help set all this up. So you're going to have more than 10 people
in there. Yeah.
You're going to have more than 10 people.
Well, no.
I thought the limit was 50% of fire code now.
Well, in all actuality, it's essential services. You're essential individuals because without you, the budget doesn't get done. County business doesn't actually apply. And while it is good for us to provide those guidelines and that we're following them and things of that nature, you kind of don't have that whole argument on the 10 people. Now, I appreciate that if you feel that you have medical issues or that you should not technically be together with a group of people, I'm perfectly okay with that. That's each individual person's. But as far as, well, we have to be under 10 people or we can't be 10 people or more, I don't think that applies at all in this scenario because you're essential individuals. That'd be like shutting the sheriff's office down and saying everybody can go home because they're not essential.
I think you need to, just my opinion, based on the conversations that I've had with Josh, our attorney, I think you probably need to talk with him, Ross.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I would definitely get his legal opinion on this. I think in what Gary and I spoke of, that as far as the physical location, whatever, when it come to a vote, I think he was talking about the one person wasn't there, his vote wasn't allowed. As far as Thursday goes, I mean, it's just another hearing again. There'll be no votes taken. Monday might be a different scenario as far as how that goes. But I mean, I'm not against everybody meeting there. I know it's a lot easier to discuss things when we're face to face and really work these things out. I've got no problem with that. But I'm respecting everybody's wishes, Mark's, and whoever. If you don't feel comfortable to meet in that situation, then I'm not going to certainly force you to come or show up. So
who is at the courthouse besides you, Ross, right now in that room?
I got Brad's to my left, Rita's sitting over here to my right, Willie, and then the mayor. He stepped in about midway through earlier. So there's 5 of us in here right now. But two committee members.
So it's just dependent upon where the quorum is at. So if there's a quorum more in the online space, then everybody can vote. But if there's a quorum more in one physical location, the people online can't vote. Is that what I'm understanding?
And I'm not clear on that really.
I'm not clear on it for the commission. I just know that was when they asked the school, that's how it came up with the school board. Basically, if they met in the location, they put it at the training center and they posted it out. They was having it online with a Zoom meeting. The board would be meeting there and the meeting would be broadcast Zoom. Okay, that's what we done because we talked to them about how to do that. All right, now, but if they had to vote, they had to be inside the quorum of the people that was voting. You couldn't have some online and some separated. Now, the schools may have a different rules or whatever their thing. I don't know, but I know they had it here and that was here. And all I was telling you is it's set up if you wanted to use it. That was all. We could put 8 board members in there and then Brad and your attorney or Brad and Abby or however you're going to do it. We can allow no more than 10. I'm just saying the building is there.
Basically,
I understand that.
If we have 5 people
y'all making that available. I'll get with Josh. I'll talk to him and see how this all plays out. I mean, I'm okay with Thursday night, meeting up there. If you're comfortable with it, that's fine. If you're not, I mean, we still got the access through Zoom, which is, great. We're not making any votes, so that's not really going to play a factor in as far as the quorum goes or anything like that. Basically, just open discussion. It will be available through the public, and that's how it's been advertised. So I don't want to get to the point where, okay, next Monday we've got 7, 8 of us sitting in one room. We've advertised it as an electronic meeting. It doesn't fall under that category because we're all there in attendance, and then somebody actually has an issue with that and brings it to a legal matter. So I'm just trying to cover all of our bases here, keep everybody healthy and comfortable.
So Ross, basically what Gary's saying is if when we get to the voting meeting, if 5 of us are online and 3 of y'all are in person in a building, then you 3 can't vote because the majority is online. Is that the way I understand that?
That's kind of what I'm following along with.
That's what they sent us for the school. I don't know how it is for the commission. Seeing that.
I don't see how it would be a whole lot different.
So I
I don't know how it could be so different. It'd have to be the same.
Yeah.
Public
Let
meetings.
me, before we, I mean, we could talk about this for another hour, and it's, I mean, we're talking 11 o'clock right now. I'll get with Josh early in the morning and see what we can do. Hopefully, I mean, if it's possible, it sounds like most people would meet at the Technology Center Thursday. Tentatively, we'll stay with what we got for now. We can easily make the change. Everybody knows where it's at, I believe, and can get the ones that plan to be there. And as long as it's broadcast to the public, I think we'd be within, you know, any Open Meetings Act or whatever. But I'll talk to Josh, confirm what we can and can't do, and I want to accommodate everybody and don't want to make this, you know, a big deal. So let me work on that. I'll send out an email or call, whatever I need to do to confirm that before Thursday. But we'll work on it. Anything else we got before we go real quick? Or I want to thank you for everybody's patience again. We're sitting here for 5 hours, and I know Brad, he's been working hard in his office getting everything prepared for us, and we know he's got a tough job. We all do. So, and certainly appreciate Abby. I know she's in there. I closed the door on her, but she's listening in, and thank her because she's the one making the switches, people talking and this and that. She's got a, you know, she's pretty active during these meetings, so we thank her for setting it up and making it happen. So with that, if there's no other discussion or any questions like that, wait on the say so, and I'll let everybody know. Hopefully tomorrow, you know, lunchtime or something, can get that out there and get an idea of where we're going to meet for Thursday. So, but it's on 6 o'clock, debt service, education, and highway. So we got 3 of those to sit there for, and you know, probably we're not going to be there for 5 hours, I don't think. So just spend some time and still have the open floor discussion. I think that's good to iron this thing out because it is hard, you know, to talk through a screen.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's my point.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, of course, it's tough for everybody in this position, everywhere, trying to follow Open Meetings Act and do what's right and what's best. So, but at the end of the day, we got to keep ourselves safe. I mean, this just cause restrictions are being let up doesn't mean we can just start doing what we want to again. I think we need to remain vigilant and, you know.
Good night, John Boy.
Yeah. So Willie's already missed WWE Monday Night Raw, so he's just gonna go to bed. Let me work on that, and I'll get in touch with everybody tomorrow on this meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night. Bye, everybody.
See you.
Bye-bye.